mostly sunny, mostly cloudy skies here in the nation's capital. 88 degrees on the outside. The low tonight is 81, 20% chance of rain in the forecast. Grand Bahama looking at 86 degrees right now on the outside. An overnight low there of 79. And there is no rain in the forecast. Thank you so much for joining us on the drive home. I'm Steve McKinney. This is Hard Copy. We have brought you today by Cybertech, BGCSE registration. Total Auto Care on Hall Road. Bank of the Bahamas, the Bank of Solutions. BTC every day. Also, Super Value, the All Bahama Supermarkets, the McKinney Media Group for effective PR concepts and advertisements. RBC Visa. Get yours now. Poinciana Interlude Lounge on Sundays and weekends. It's big. Also, we're brought to you by Ministry of Tourism, promoting domestic tourist travel throughout the islands. Great prices right now, great places to stay. Advantage Insurance and Broker, 61 Collins Avenue. New Oriental Laundry, 9 locations. Ron's Electric Motors. Ron Frazier can fix any small motor. You just take it to him on Clarence Road in Wolffield. You'll see. Sky Bahamas. Professionals in every way, every day. Flying the friendly skies of the Bahamas. Super Wash. 11 locations open 24/7. We're also brought to you by Kalina Financial Advisors Limited. Commonwealth Bank. Also Executive Printers. Henry F. Store. ABI Distribution Limited. Distributors of the Blue Water. And New Life Natural Vegetation. Free seminar at BFM tonight at 7:30. So, my friends, I've said in the opening today that if you think that you are in the best position, and who the cap fit, they may wear it, to take the leadership, then show some courage and take it. All this talking and spinning wheels, if you've got courage, as the Nike logo says, just do it. Just do it. These are exciting times, aren't they? Politically speaking, we are all excited about the season because the season has actually begun. Let no one fool you. The season has begun, and there are some people who are making very, very, very smart moves, and some people who are not making some smart moves at all. If you want it, you must take it. No one gives up leadership. We just don't do it. If you think that Christie is going to give up leadership, you've got another thing coming. Christie is very much entrenched there. And there's all this talk now from a lot of pundits who are saying that maybe Brave Davis should be the one to get the chair after Christie, but Brave Davis has got to go and take it. And taking it means that you've got to challenge him now. Conventions is coming, and a lot of people believe that, oh, you've got to play it smooth right now. But I'll tell you, the kind of cloak and dagger moves that are happening right now in the body politic is just phenomenal. On all sides of the political divide, while Brave Davis wants to take it, and very well may take it, and is quite qualified to do it, quite qualified to run the country, there are all kinds of people who say no way. There are many who says yes way. We'd like to see that because we need a change in leadership. In fact, Phil Kalanis, who has been a longtime member of the Progressive Liberal Party and an outstanding accountant, and one who's a former senator, and one who ran before, former member of Parliament. I think that he make it, well, anyway, he ran several times before for the Progressive Liberal Party. Yes, he was an Angliston one time. I will tell you, he is saying a lot of stuff that makes sense, that's quite interesting, and that tells the signs of the times within the governing party, the PLP. And while that's going on, some other people are doing some other things to attract people to this party where everybody's supposed to be fleeing from, as it were. They've lost some men, but now they've gotten a bright spot in Wayne Monroe. You cannot ignore that. This is politics. That means something. Wayne Monroe going to the PLP may be opening the door for a number of others in the professional ranks to walk in and see how they can sweep the house cleaner and reestablish a party that's been around, the oldest political party in the Bahamas, and reestablish it and brighten it up. Do you think that's possible? That's my question of interest for you for this first hour, at least today. John Bostwick comes along in a minute. But what do you think of this? What would you say? How do you answer this question today? I put it to you. So, You think Brave Davis can actually do it? Or you think that something new is happening in the PLP trying to remake itself because it has been battered and bruised. It looks shaky. Galanis says they don't stand a ghost of a chance if they don't change the leadership. What do you think? I want to hear from you today because maybe this is a good little debate right here. A lot of people may disagree with that, but Galanis, I believe, has said something quite a mouthful here. And you can help us today by putting in your 2 cents. It's that kind of a Wednesday today. Wide open Wednesday. Not really a wicked Wednesday, but it could be wicked in a way. If Brave Davis challenges Christie, could he possibly win? 1, 2, write them down. Could he possibly win? Could he win? Notwithstanding the fact now, you've got to keep in mind that Christie's got the whole group of stalwart counselors with him. Why is this important? Because, my friends, they've made it our business. They put it in the public domain. If they wanted to, in fact, keep it quiet they'd start the skullduggery and all that kind of stuff close to the convention, which is not until November. But this talk is already starting to unfold because, the truth be told, there are many persons within that group who may be dissatisfied, unhappy with the present leadership and the present leader, who happens to be the prime minister. And so all the men who are trying to be very respectful are saying, well, they will perhaps challenge him or challenge for this position if he decides that he's not going to run anymore. So there are many people who are sitting back saying, well, when he say he ain't gonna run no more, then I'll put my hat in the ring. Renard Rigby says no way, says he's challenging now, and he is not even a seated member. Imagine that. This tells you that something is about to change in the air in our politics. Some things are changing as we speak. The young are becoming the young and the restless. They're tired. They want change. And now we see where there's a surrogate, as it appears, Galanis is, to forecast that Brave may be that other person. Obie Wilshcombe has been looking at it, but I don't know. He's a strong, great, viable individual, and I believe he can do a good job, but that's what I believe. I'm not inside the body politic of the PLP. I don't know. I'm just saying that there's another bright spot. And they've already both said that they would be interested if Christie decides not to run. Now, what kind of thing is this? Because if you want the leadership, you've got to go and take it. You've got to stop being afraid that there are giants in the land and you can't possess the land. So Brave is now, I suppose, putting out feelers. Christie may not like that at all, but that's just the way it is. The country is looking for new leadership, even if they're looking at the present fellows who are there, who are becoming older themselves. They too are beginning to age because they've been there so long waiting, and this bridge to the future never made the connection with them to the point where somebody else is ready to step in. And so they too are beginning to bald and gray. And the other tail fellas behind that group are the ones who are roaring. They are restless. They're biting at the bits. They want to get in. And it makes for political theater. And Christie is just there betwixt and between as to if he will run again or if he will step down. But there are some signs of the times that are happening in the Caribbean. Trinidad got a new leader yesterday. The opposition pulled it off. Governing party lost. Normally, these trends ricochet around the Caribbean once changes begin. We'll see what happens here in our town when that time comes. 2017 is right around the corner. And so I asked you a couple of questions today. Do you think that this could make out for a great changeover? Would people be amenable and accepting of Mr. Brave Davis? Or are they looking for another? Keep in mind now, some people have left. Greg Moss gone, Rollins is gone. Renwood is expecting perhaps a letter any day because he's expressing himself that, he's of that same mindset, a born-free nationalist, wants more for the country, wants country before party. And that seems to be the difference between the good old boys and the new fellas. New fellas are talking country. Old fellas are talking, well, listen, we got to stay around a little longer. They're talking party. What are you talking today when I open my telephone lines? Does Brave has what it takes to take on Christy Wynn? Can the PLP withstand a change of leadership, or do they need a change of leadership, as Kalanis has suggested? Do they need a change of leadership to be relevant and to have a chance of winning? He says without a change of leadership, they don't stand a ghost of a chance of winning. It's a mouthful. That's one of their own. A sober-minded one of their own, one who, in fact, weighs things, I believe. He doesn't just speak like that. And I think he's devoid of the partisanship when it comes to this kind of serious business. Maybe they can't see that they're not doing so well. Maybe they've believed their own propaganda that all is well and that the people love them and they've not lost any imaging and they're doing fantastic and their image is still intact and they still have what it takes to pull it off. Or maybe there's a lot of money that's going to be in this election coming up that doesn't really matter. What do you think? Are people, another question I have for you today if you want to answer, are people interested in this same group that's now running the country? Or are they looking to just change no matter what? Keep in mind now, a lot of people don't believe that the Free National Movement offers any real attraction at this level, though others believe that, yes, Minnis is a different kind of leader, and they need this kind of change to bring along a sober-mindedness to this electoral process and for Minnis to be seen for what he can do as a calm-headed person who believes in what you call consensus, just like Christie, consensus and due process and deep thought before he does things. But I sense that the people out there are restless themselves. They want to see a change that's going to spell a wonderful, prosperous future for their children and their grandchildren. What do you say? It's important. It's an important discussion. Let me tell you why it's important. Because a lot of things are not going to get done in the next couple of months. I would even hasten to say, between now and the time elections are called. That everybody is gearing up now to put their people in place to get things done. And so you see Wayne Munroe comes up, and Wayne Munroe goes into a group that people seem to be leaving. There's something in that for us to ponder. What is that something? Maybe now Wayne realizes that with everybody else off the scene, if everybody else is off the scene, he stands a better chance of being something big and powerful in a party that has lost a lot of its young people, and he will perhaps benefit because they want to prove that, hey, we are relevant and we will cater to one who is bright, young, intelligent. So he may be onto something. Why is that important? Because Greg Moss says he wants to start something new. He wants to be starting something. And he's gotten all of the young people in this country who have political acumen, wisdom, knowledge, and experience, and courage to have a like mind. Many have had this mindset before he came along and said this. But because he has said what he has said, with putting together something new and looking to all corners of this land to bring people together, that's an attraction. That's also a threat. And the PLP and the Free National Movement knows that they have got a lot of bright minds in both those organizations who may be interested in having this oneness to bring about this convergence that you keep hearing about, this coming together of the brighter minds in politics from all sides. And so the PLP may be responding by trying to find and recruit some other people to, up their image. Wayne Munroe is in. Brian is there sobbing and lamenting that Wayne didn't tell him, even though they were together as the recent reunion of the graduates of Kingsway Academy, where they both attended, and they're both friends, and they're both lawyers, and they're colleagues, and Wayne didn't tell him, and now he's shocked and surprised. This is the leader of the DNA. He is shocked and surprised. Really? You mean your ears into the ground? Who else is the PLP going to take from you? Chris Mortimer? Mind you, I tell you, look out. Some things are happening. So if the DNA leader is surprised, would Minnis be surprised if Bradley and those are tracking, recruit some people from them? And they got plenty of good fellas who are unhappy, who are disgruntled, who don't feel that they're being properly utilized. Greg Moss out there is one hurricane, attracting some people. Bradley out there responding to that as the chairman. And that's Bradley Roberts, who has done this whole thing with Wayne Monroe. Believe it, he's that good a politician to do it. He's that open-minded. He's that bold. That's what you want. I keep hearing from Michael Pintard that they're recruiting and they have a group of young fellas themselves that they're putting together, but I see Bradley them doing some things. I see them saying that Wayne is coming, forecasting that, this may be the new beginning of something new within that grouping. While Wilshcombe and Brave Davis continues to ponder if they really want the leadership. So we got good things to talk about today on this day of politics. Good stuff to talk about. These are all interesting scenarios. Then Brent Simonet is saying, well, look, Brad, as a means of, I suppose, response to all of this, Brent, who is the former deputy leader of the F&M, who seems to want to be in the limelight a little bit and wants to share and wants to participate. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think Brent Simonet has a lot to bring to the table. A lot of money. They're going to need that. And Brent is saying that he's amenable, he's open-minded to talking and trying to merge with the DNA or have them merge with the F&M so that they can, make sure that the PLP don't get away anymore by votes being split and giving them the advantage. Because that's what happened in the last election. 13%, was it? Or 8%? Causing, and most of those persons came from the F&M who voted for the DNA. So that caused the F&M numbers to dwindle in the last election. And as a result of it, the PLP is the government. Percentage-wise, very, very close, but they won. So this is some that's happening right now because nobody, and this is going to be the biggest general election of your lifetime if you live to see it. Big election. A lot of money riding on this particular one because a lot of things have not been accomplished. A lot of things have not been done, and Christie don't plan to go like that. Right now, do you suppose Christie really has the Bahamian people in a way where they're thinking that he can still do it, that he still has the magic? I believe a lot of people are turning their back on Christie now, looking for something else. Christie's right. He did not fix things in such a way that BJ would be in a striking zone, striking distance. So BJ is not in it. But Brave could be in it. Wilshcombe definitely could be in it. And all the other comers who may want to challenge and have not said anything. People are still discounting Renard Rigby, but he's going there to prove a point. And that in itself could be disastrous for the Christie administration. And then this young man said something quite interesting. Galanis, he says, everybody in the party doing their own thing, every minister doing what they feel like doing when they feel like doing it. This is very revealing, friends. This is why the governance is what it is. Lousy. They're not firing on the same cylinders. They're not synergized. They're not together. And that's why things can't get done, as Galanis was saying this morning in the newspapers, that you need a leader who's going to try to return people's phone calls and look out for people who are looking to get things done. Is he suggesting that Christie is not that kind of a leader? Maybe he is, maybe he's not. But just him saying that tells us the state of flux, as we've been saying on Hard Copy. The government is in a state of flux. These are serious and compelling times. There are no answers to crime. There are no answers to this bad economy. They don't seem to have what it takes to turn anything around. And now they're caught up in this whole confusion of trying to see if they can survive themselves. Do you think they have time to caretake the nation's concerns? The answer is no. That's why this political thing that you may be getting all teed off about and unhappy, that's why it's important. Maybe they've abandoned, maybe, I'm saying, they have abandoned this idea now that they can still save this administration. In other words, they're so busy now trying to do some things. See Ken Dossett, all these old derelict car around the place, he trying to save, and the people from his constituency called this show live and embarrassed him without a doubt. He is now catering, trying to save that. He's trying to make sure that they get their cars cleaned up and all that. So I'm wondering if, in fact, the government is still governing the Bahamas or if they are politicking to save their hides in the next one. And that's important to you. Try going to a government ministry to get something done. Try going to some agency to get things done. Everybody's moving around. New staff going here, new staff going there. Who are these people? Where's the money coming from to hire these people? It's happening. I can tell you that definitively. That is what is happening. All of these places in the government are hiring new people. They're bringing in people. This is how you get ready for an election. And so the question I put to you today, if you want to, you can answer 325-0235 or 6, 325-024-2043, 325-025-2053. Do you think that Davis has what it takes? See, let's just look at this scenario. Take everything off the table and look just at the PLP. Say they win. Say that they're the only group up there that has what it takes to pull off an election. Will you go with them again if Christie's leading, or will they need a new leader for you to be attracted? For you to re-engage, would they need a Christie again, or would they need a new leader? Can you answer that for me today? I think they want to know too, because their information has been telling them from the experts who came here to do the research, has told them that Christie does not any longer mesmerize the crowd. Maybe that's why he's dancing so much, to show that he's still got what it takes energy-wise. But he doesn't have the command now of people, and they had told them a long time ago that they have to look at the leadership. They've got to look at how they're doing things. That's what they know. What do you think, friends? Be sober about it. Let's talk straight for this few minutes. John Bostwick is with me. We've got a lot of things to talk about anyway, more serious and sober-minded things, but I thought I'd put that to you to get you involved, because at the end of the day, it's our country. And I don't know how we can keep making the same mistakes over and over, but, that's your call too. The police commissioner just said the other day that, he is surprised that the outcry is not there for all these guns on the street. See, we're too laid back. Mind you, I disagree with Commissioner of Police on that. I believe that there has been outcry, and I believe that enough outcry has been out there for them to do what they got to do. But maybe he needs another outcry to set to a crescendo where the politicians will leave them alone and let them do what they're doing. Maybe that's what he's talking about. I don't know. I didn't talk with him. But I did see his remarks in the papers. And I'm only talking about outcry because we, the people, have not been involved and engaged in a way that we can bring about the change that we want to see. You got to do some things and say some things. It's not just bickering in the barroom, bickering in the barbershop. It is about speaking truth to power on the public airwaves that you've been afforded to express yourself about what you think of the future of your country. Is the future of the country riding on the PLP and Brave Davis? With a change of leadership, let's say Brave gets a change of leadership, he's there. Does that mean that we are forgetting about all the bad management of the PLP this term and just going to put them back in because they've changed their leader? See, I want you to talk to me because I don't know. I wonder. Or do you suppose that you've taken your eyes off them altogether and you're looking for the conversions? You're looking for the new fellas, the new people to come and form themselves and get this country to another level because you just don't trust these other guys no more. What are you looking for? My lines are wide open. Oh, my phones are full. 325-023516. Let me introduce my good friend John Bostwick today with me on the show as usual.
Steve, it's always a pleasure to be here sitting with you.
Well, it's good to see the Born Free Nationalist, and I like that necktie that you have on today. The color, purple.
Yeah.
Neutral. That's what that means.
Royal.
I see all of the big politicians in the whole wide world, even including Barack Obama, wearing this pretty purple. I saw Christie them wearing it last time before the change of government. When I see the purple neckties, it tells me of people who are looking for change, new people coming in, and old boys going out. I mean, so the color purple means a lot to me in that regard. But, that's just me. Because, I ain't that smart. That's just me. You don't have to comment, John. That's just me. But it looks good on you. Absolutely. Now, let me go to the phone lines and take some calls as we begin our discussion today. Hard copy, how are you?
Hello, Mr. McKinney.
Yes, sir. I'm hearing you. Who's this now? This is Mr. Knowles.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Knowles, what do you say? Brave Davis in the chair now. You will vote PLP for the first time in your life.
Brave Davis? No, Brave Davis is not Prime Minister material.
Really?
No, he is not. In any way, he is not. The only one I see there what will make a good Prime Minister is Alcides.
Michael Alcides.
Yeah. Now, I like him for Prime Minister, the way he speaks.
Mm-hmm.
And he, he's an open mind fella.
So you want a calm, sober-minded prime minister who could articulate and who can get things
not
done.
Not somebody with, man, Brave Davis don't have it, man. He just don't have it.
What is it that he has to have? What is this it?
You got to have that go, a little bit of go in you. And you got to go like God. So when you going out all different parts of the world, you got to, he can't speak properly, man. He fumbles, like, this, that, the other. You don't need no prime minister like that.
I see. But there's more to Brave than just that now. Brave is a fellow who can get things done.
Yeah, Brave is a smart, educated fellow, but he just is not prime minister material.
I see. What about Minnis?
Minnis is a quiet man, too. But Minnis, he puts words where they belong.
I see.
And then he talks to people, that people just understand what he's saying and would sit down and listen to him before they listen to Brave Davis.
I see your point. All right.
Now, another thing, Brother John is with you, eh?
Yes, Brother John is here.
Yeah, Brother John, he's still with FNM, eh?
Mr. Knowles, yes, sir.
So, what I want you to do, man, you're going to try to get with Brandon McCartney, man, and because this same thing going to happen in 2017, this same thing going to happen. Granville and then Morse, they're going to be our next party. And if they do this nonsense, what they're going with, the PLP going right back then. We can't take 5 more years to this.
Yep, Mr. Knowles, I've been calling for unity amongst the opposition forces from before Brian actually left the FNM. In fact, I was one of those who said to him, please, for Christ's sake, don't do it. Stay with the party and let us have our internal struggles and our fights and our wrestling amongst ourselves, but be like the PLP. When it's time to come to the line, come together and come ready to go.
I mean, you see what happened in Trinidad, eh?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You see what happened? Well, that's how they got rid of their government. They formed coalition and formed the government. Now they got what they want.
Yes, sir. All over the world. If you see Trinidad, if you watch what's going on in Guatemala, Malaysia, all over the world.
This thing is, you got to drop pride. Sometimes you got to swallow pride to do certain things. I mean, this is a country. We got a beautiful country here. But every day you see it deteriorating.
Yeah.
Every day.
We can't disagree with you, Mr. Knowles. We don't disagree with you. We agree with you on that.
Yeah.
I appreciate your call. Let's see what happens.
All right, buddy.
All right. So he says Brave is not good prime minister material. That's just Mr. Knowles' point of view. But what's your point of view? Hard copy, how are you?
Mr. McKinney.
Yes, sir.
John.
Yes, sir.
I think now this gonna make Brian scratch his head because I know Mark Jones is at FNM, I think, right?
Yeah, Mark has already left the DNA. Yeah, they're picking him off.
Next step.
Yeah. Mark is already in FNM. Mark may be running in Fort Charlotte. I don't know that.
Rodney Monka.
But Rodney Monka is also, he's gone too?
Yes, sir.
I didn't know that.
He's got to scratch his head to know because they are not happy with Minnis.
There are about 3 or 4 of the DNA who've joined the FNM.
Got to get together and do what they got done. They're the movers and shakers of the party.
So let me ask you, what on this other front, while all of this is going on, Brave wants to be the prime minister. And Brave is making a move very subtly. He has some surrogates out there talking, or the surrogates are talking for him. I can't say that he has them out there. And they're saying that they believe Brave will be the only savior for the PLP. So they find themselves in a precarious position too, because they know that they've not done a good job. People are not impressed with them, and they need to remake themselves. Can Brave help to remake them?
But sounds like what you as Prime Minister, that's your company. So if anybody's coming peace, I don't want peace. Sounds like what you Prime Minister, they have to ask you where you want to live, or we can challenge you. Sounds like to me like once you become Prime Minister, you own it. So how could you take something from somebody who owns it?
Well,
unless you are slickster or
you're suggesting,
like Mr. Ingram.
Rob, you're suggesting
When
that
for them, I throw all them out. Even John Daddy get thrown out. All C.A. Smith, all them who was waiting to him, want to use him to win. Even Cleveland get thrown out. See, that's what you call street smart. Mr. Ingram, that John wanted him and Ingram, him and Brahman to challenge Ingram. They can't challenge Ingram now when Ingram ain't even in the race.
Yeah, but
Ingram is still hold the majority of the
but
of the members.
I'm not talking about Ingram. I don't think that Ingram is relevant on this particular
But I'm saying,
juncture.
Ingram can help whoever want to run to win the race.
I see.
He can still if he want Brian in, he can always support Brian. If he wants Brian in.
I asked you a specific question, Robert.
Yes.
Listen to the question. Okay? I say to you, you're saying to me that the Prime Minister, you're suggesting to me that that position is owned by Perry Christie,
Yes.
and Brave can't challenge him for it.
Nobody.
What
nobody
kind of
care.
thinking that is? What are you talking about? What are you saying?
And even when Finland wanted, even when Norwich win the race, Finland went in the room and can't change it. The Prime Minister can hold that much power amongst the stalwarts.
I see. All right.
The thought was like just mesmerized by the Prime Minister, even for me. And then election time they go sit in Grammy house and he decided to get and go lay at the Grammy bed and put up Grammy in the ladders. And that's the done deal.
So Brave can win. He can beat Christie.
I don't think so. Even they know that.
Okay, so this must be just a setup. If Galanis is saying what he is saying publicly, I mean, did you see the papers today? What he said publicly? He said it. He says, "Look, right now this government does not work as a team. People pretty much do what they want to do. Ministers say what they want to say, and then they do what they want to do when they want to do it." He says, what is needed is Davis is the person who has delivered on promises that he has made, says Galanis. And of course, that is what the people need, he says. We don't need people who are not going to return phone calls and who are not going to step up to the plate and assist persons who need government assistance. Now, we don't know what he's talking about there, but he's saying some of the problems that group has right now as the governing party. And he's suggesting that if there's not a change in leadership, that they won't stand a chance of winning. Now, I'm going to ask Bostwick his view, but right now I want to find out what you, the people, are thinking, because this is quite interesting. This has a lot to do with everything in the political arena right now, a lot of everything. Will Brave be brave to challenge Christie? Or is this just talk to see what people will say, and then, Brave will just recoil back to his position and play his role as deputy because, that's the best he can do? Hard copy, how are you?
Hello, Mr. McKinney. How are you?
I'm good.
All right, and good afternoon to your guest, John Bostwick.
Good afternoon, Colin.
Yeah, I'm going to work your questions backwards up. As far as the head of the police force talking about guns, I think there's a public outcry, and we want everybody that's caught with a gun illegally and bullets to pay the price, no matter their status in society, whether it's a common grassroots man, straight up to the politician or pastor. Once you're caught, you have to be dealt with in the court system. People dying every day, and we're fed up with it. Okay? As far as Mr. Branville McCartney, Mr. Bostwick just said that he told Mr. McCartney a long time to get the opposition forces together. And I think when you look at people like Mr. Bosworth, when you look at people like Mr. Pentard and Mr. McCartney, they have to come to a crossroad when they decide whether they into this nationalistic thing or they're going to be satisfied with going back to the people who they complain about and actually realizing that all their views, all their brilliant ideas are going to be swept under the rug. Because like I told you before, the Mr. Boswick that was on that show Friday past was the Mr. Boswick that I followed and admired through the years with all of his, excellent ideas about what this nation has going for it. But the platform that Mr. Pentard brought forth, there wasn't an inkling. You would have thought that over the last 3 years that he was affiliated with the FNM, something would have wear off with them. But there was like Mr. Boswick doesn't exist in that party when it comes to his ideas. And so when you have them absorbed into a party where they become non-relevant, then that's the issue that they're gonna have to deal with. As far as Mr. Galana saying that the PLP would be decimated if Mr. Christie goes into the next election. People put all kind of stuff in the airwaves just to see how people feel. But somebody like me, sir, I deal with principalities and powers more than personalities. And so I feel the same way when you had a Ryan Pinder vacate his position as to Mr. Christie, as to Mr. Davis. I don't like man. I don't care whoever there is better to do the work of the public. Who put them there? And so I don't believe that the Prime Minister seat is designated only for Mr. Christie. I deal with the principalities, and I believe that the FNM is the best for what's going on right now. And so when people talk about Mr. Brave Davis not being eloquent or whatever, I think he did a good job of being eloquent, talking with Papa Clown and in the last election. I think that he could express.
Yeah, he came into his own, eh?
Yeah, I think he could express himself and say what he has to say. And so when people talk about him not being able to get across or be effective and efficient, I disagree with that, sir. And finally, I would just like to thank you for this opportunity that you gave me.
I appreciate it. All the best to you now. Yeah, we've got calls on the line. Let me take some calls in, and I'm going to get into my good conversation today because we're going to have a wonderful conversation on some things that are principles that we ought to be looking at. And don't be sidetracked. I've only given you this political caveat today because I know that you all are watching as I'm watching and wondering what these guys are doing and even singing KB songs some more. Because really, we are in a state of confusion and there are many things that we ought to be doing, but we are so busy trying to lobby to save our skins in the politics. The governing party is. The maneuverings that's happening is all politics. And I'm wondering if anybody is driving the state car or the ship of state. Anybody's steering the boat. Because everybody seems to be below deck, and all these crevices with their own little games going on. And the ship of state may end up on a rock. And I'm concerned about that. Hard copy, how are you?
Good afternoon, Mr. McKinney. How you doing?
Very good, thanks.
Yeah, I don't think Brave could do it.
You can do it.
So I think.
Who's the best man on the job to do it? To take on Christie and take him out and reorganize the party within 2 years?
Boy, that's a hard one.
It ain't going to happen then.
You have the backbenchers that's been there from 02.
They're not in the game. They've not expressed any interest. They don't seem to have the courage. They are just watchers. They're standbys, just watching from the sideline. They're not in the game. The people who seemingly is in the game, Wilshcombe, Brave Davis, maybe Jerome Fitzgerald. I know he had some ambition to lead. I haven't heard from him lately. But they're the ones. And, of course, Christie is not so sure if he wants to stay or go, even though he promised that his family, that would have been his last election campaign in 2012. It seems like he's gearing up to go again. At least he's dancing good. He looks very energetic. Christie looks fit. Christie looks fit as a 30 to 40-year-old man. He's 72. He looks very good, and maybe he's ready to do it. But a lot of people in the PLP believe that he's tired and worn out mentally to the point where he can't carry the country no further. And you don't think that Brave can do it?
If you'd like.
Hard copy, how are you?
Hello, Mr. McKinney. How are you?
Yes, sir, good.
Mr. Boswick?
Good day, sir.
Yeah, there's a wave in the Caribbean, so therefore I think the PLP doesn't really stand a chance of winning. And, their performance, because of their performance, crime, unemployment, and other things, they won't win. Their performance alone, so it doesn't really matter who takes over.
They're taking over something that can win.
That can't win.
Hmm.
So it doesn't matter who they change. If
So-
Terry
so
Christie
the-
stays or if he goes,
So the ship is sinking, is what you're saying.
yes, the ship is sinking basically. And if they change, if they, let's say, sort of force Perry Christie out, it makes him look bad, and if he stays in, it makes them look bad. So either way, they still lose.
But Wayne Monroe just joined. Wayne Monroe's a bright-minded fella. He can lead that party too.
Yes, but Wayne Monroe he's on a sinking ship.
You mean he makes bad decisions to go on sinking ships?
He's on a sinking ship, basically. That's what he's basically telling. He'd better stay with the DNA, but he's on a sinking ship. And the only thing that's going to happen is he's going to go down. And once the ship has gone down, then he's going to go back into his law practice.
I see. All right. I appreciate your call. Quite interesting what people have to say today. What say you? How are you? Reconciler? Who's this?
Hey, good evening, Brother McKinney.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and good evening to your guest, John Boston. How are you, sir?
Good day, reconciler.
Yeah, you know, Mr. McKinney, looking at this question, I do not support the Brave Davis as being no leader of the PLP. Matter of fact, I don't support them at all in this because I think the PLP is doing a very bad job in the governance of this country and, taking us downhill. And a lot of negative press is happening with the PLP now. Notwithstanding, anybody in the PLP have a right to run. But let's look at the situation with Raynard Rigby. Rigby came out of nowhere and said he want to run for the leadership of the PLP.
Because he, like Wayne Monroe, see a vacuum. These guys are not dumb boys. They are smart guys. They see a big vacuum.
But see, the thing is, everyone is entitled to their opinion, or everyone look at it different. But me looking at it, say, for example, with Mr. Davis, the thing with Bamsey, all of the mishaps he made, and he got in the parliament, said he don't know, but he said he believed the insurance was there, then found out it was an untruth, and all these things, I take this into account, and a lot of Bahamians is taking this into account. And it's nothing to take lightly. It's a serious matter, and I don't think Brave Davis is fit to run for the PLP or anybody.
You rather stick with Christie?
Hello?
You rather stick with Christie?
So what about Christie?
You rather stick with Christie?
Well, I rather stick with none of them. I want the PLP to be gone. I want it to be gone, period. I don't care who joined them, okay? And the thing is, we need new revolutionary leadership in this country. I don't care which party it is, but anything with what the PLP is bringing to us and what's happening with them and their lack of accountability and transparency in this crime under control immigration and all of that, they're not the people I am looking for.
So you're looking...
And definitely not with Brave Davis. Christian, none of them.
So
So they can do what they want to do. That's their convention. They have a right to do it. That's what democracy is all about, but not with the support of the reconciler. Have a good day, Brother
I
McKinney.
appreciate your call. It seems like Reconcile, like many other people, are looking for the conversions to happen. That's what John and I can talk about today, because they're all saying the same thing. John is saying it. Paul is saying it. Pintard is saying it. Definitely Morse. Gregory Morse is saying it. Rollins is saying it. Renwood is saying it. I got Renwood on the record saying it yesterday. And this is quite interesting that there are many young men and women who are thinking just like this, that you need to have a new paradigm shift. It has been prophesied. Do you believe in prophecies? Maybe we've come to that end of the road, like the Boys to Men sing, and we've got to have a new beginning. This is a pivotal time in the development of the Bahamas. In fact, I was telling a friend of mine today that we are actually living and breathing history right now. We can pinch ourselves. Everybody out there, pinch yourself. You are actually alive in a time when history is being made right before your eyes. The annals of history, after all of us then turning white in the grave, will record that in this year, 2015, it was a catastrophe with Bahama. And there was great swirling and problems in the country with politics. It's going to be in the annals of history. And they were trying to stun growth some young people who have the answers and the keys to the city, the new city. They're trying to hurt them. There's another commonality that's happening among young aspirants to the new political direction. Some people are after them. The dogs of war are out there trying to pull them down and destroy them. I hope you know that. And I hope they know that. I've never seen so much negative stuff in the media about my good friend Greg Moss and the others. And if I was to go through my little black book and read the notes that I've made over the last couple of years with the young, bright ones who we are talking with, how they've been dogged by the state in many regards. You remember I used to say, have you gotten your picture taken? Yeah, it seems like when you aspire, some people come behind you to push you down and say, you ain't going nowhere, we can see to that. And the guy who called me a little while ago and said he believes in principalities, the whole thing is principalities and spiritual wickedness in high places that cause the forces to come against people who are moving the country, mentally moving the country forward on a forward trajectory. There's some of them. There's John and Paul and there's Moss, and they're moving this country. We are all been inspired by their shenanigans, if you want to call it that, as to what they think. And at the same time, you have to pray for them, friends. All my prayer warriors are there. You start praying for these young men because there's something happening in the atmosphere that want to stack the cards against them to hold power. I declare that today. And that's all I'm prepared to say about it, except that you've got to watch and observe. And don't be fooled by it. Don't you go and try to judge no man, because a lot of things are stacked against people who see the direction being muddy and they trying to clear it up for all of us. Believe that. And the principality and spiritual wickedness in high places are hard at work trying to stop it, prevent it from happening. You have to believe that. Your hope right now is on a bunch of young people. Your hope is not on a bunch of these fellas who've been around doing stuff and keeping things the same old way. You want something for your children. You got to fight for it. You are in a fight just like the Bostwicks and the Paul Moss and the Greg Moss and the Renwood Wells. Look at it. Look at all these young fellas who have been castigated, excoriated in this system. This system is not working for people who want to take the country someplace. I want you to hold on to that as we could discuss this whole issue today, okay? Hold on to that. Keep that thought in the back of your head because it's for real. This ain't no joke. It is for real. Hard copy, how are you?
Hi, Steve. How you doing?
Peace and love. All is well.
Hey, man. John, everything is okay, huh?
All is well, my brother.
Okay, here's where I stand on this issue. When we sit back and look at the amount of things that are happening to our people, I rode around the other day looking for a restaurant, a Bahamian restaurant. At that time, Checkers was closed. And then I rode down by Gibson's place, and they were basically closed. But there was no other restaurant owned by Bahamians. I'm not talking about the fast food stuff like the chicken and fries.
I know. Sit down, Bahamian native food.
Yeah, there's nothing. I went around a month ago looking for a Bahamian meat market. There was none.
Gone.
Okay? So we have been driven out of business by the people who have the power to get us in business. They give all these licenses to people who even need from here. Okay? I look at the people that are being bought and sold across party lines. I want every Bahamian to hear this and hear this very carefully. The next election vote you vote will be for the life or the death of this country. You may never ever see an election again after this one.
My Lord.
Thank you, gentlemen.
I appreciate your call. Miles Monroe put it this way. This one will decide, 2017, he says, will decide whether you go forward or you go back to Egypt. If you all understand what that means, going back to Egypt, we were in bondage. We had no say. We did the king's bidding, all are we. This is time for forward thinking. But we have to be open-minded since we're the democracy and watch the times. One is moving from one party to the next. The others are shaking around and throwing some people out. And some others are trying to start something because they have one mind. And the good thing about this convergence is that these young men are nationalists in heart. They could be on the PLP side, on the F&M side, on the DNA side. They're nationalists. The only person I can tell you right now who has not expressed this idea of being a nationalist, and I hope to talk with him soon, is Branville McCartney. He has to come and sit with me on hard copy because I want to be fair to him because I like Branville McCartney. And he's a bright fella, even though people don't think so. He has courage, even though people don't think so. All right? And I believe if he comes along and we talk, you may be able to see who the man is. I want to find out who the man is. I'm not interested in DNA leader. I want to find out Granville McCartney, the man, because I know he pa. And he pa is plenty man. A man who believes in country. And I'm telling you, he's good stock. Perhaps misunderstood. But we'll get to him in short order. We'll get to him in short order, I'm sure. Hard copy, how are you?
Hey, how you doing, Mr. McKinney?
Good.
Pastor, how you doing?
Good day. I'm good, sir. Thank you.
I look at it as, yeah, Brave could make a good leader on PLP. And I look at him to select Mr. Alfred Sess as his deputy. They'll be a good team.
I see.
But I also want to hear in 2017 that the PRP member for Bay and Grandstand will be John Bostwick, none other than John Bostwick.
I got you. Okay, sir. I appreciate it.
On over.
I hear you. Okay.
This is the second person who has said that to me in 2 days.
That they wanted to see the PLP member of Parliament for being
I was asked flat out would I join the PLP recently. But we can talk in a minute, Steve.
Well, I'm interested. Oh, goody. Because, Wayne Monroe was asked too, and he say, okay. And, Ingram always used to tell me, Steve, a deal is a deal. And, so sometimes deals have to be made to make sure that things go right. But you see, I'm interested in the big picture for the Bahamian people. Somebody has got to be on the Bahamian people side. And I believe we're the closest that we've ever been to it. A new group of people may give us a new state of affairs. That's my view. But of course, I'm only one man. Hard copy, how are you? Hi there. Hard copy, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Brother McKinney. How you doing?
Anton, I'm in good shape. How are you?
I am great, thank you. Good afternoon to you, guests. Born Free. Good afternoon to the nation.
Good day, Anton.
Very interesting topic today. Let me start out by saying this. Within every structured and organized and well-poised political party that has some vision, that has real interest to lead the Bahamian people continuously out of Egypt, as Lyndon and that crew did 40 years ago, will have policies and regulations that governs and guides whatever takes place within that organization. The PLP is no different. Anyone seeking to advance to the level of leadership within the Progressive Liberal Party, as in the FNM, I can't speak to any other political organization. You do that at convention. Everyone is entitled to their viewpoint. We can put forward any name we wish, but it's only an opinion. But the bottom line is only the delegates make the determination on the day of.
That's true, but the delegates could be properly advised pre-hand that you go there, expect to lose, because that's what you decide to do that. Hear the public. The public's saying right now to you, yeah, we hear y'all and y'all got the power, but if you bring that, you ain't going nowhere with that in the public because we got the final say.
But Brother McKinney, I happen to be one of those of the ilk. I believe we are in competent, capable, and progressive hands in the current Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Terry Gladstone Christie. I am one of those from the young generation that sits down and thinks things through. It doesn't matter to me that a Greg Moss or a Rollins or a Wells are voicing their opinions, okay, or would have seen the party as the kind of party that was good enough at the time for them to come into and become members of parliament, and for whatever personal reasons, which we're all entitled to, which in their cases we may not know or never find out. Okay, so they could be disingenuous as well. Let's look at that perspective too. But I believe that true change starts within, not with you being persuaded with whatever position you don't support within an organization and then taking your displeasure on a national station such as Hard Copy. That's nonsense. That is absolute nonsense. Those are the kind of people that could not appeal to get my respect, Brother McKinney. You understand? Because here it is, they once served under the Prime Minister. Okay? Then they come to the airways, they speak poorly of the same man they once served under, and they want us to support them.
Well, these things happen. These things happen, Anton.
When you look at Hubert Ingram, and you look at Perry Gladstone Christie some 20 odd years ago. They were once thrown out of the party as well. Okay? Perry Christie went back to the PLP. This is to show the kind of man and backbone he has. He went back to the party and he went on to respect his leader, to serve under him, to learn from him. And now he's the Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And the former Prime Minister, Right Honorable Hubert Ingram, became Prime Minister as well. That's the kind of stamina and backbone that men need to be made of who want to lead an entire nation.
Well, let's not preempt them because, as you said, things happen, tongue-in-cheek fallout, man and wife fall out, relationships get sour, people leave, and they make up again. You never know. Christie left and made up again. Ingram never made up but went on to do his own thing. There are men who are destined to do certain things in this country.
Here's the measure
That's the way it is.
Brother McKinney. Look at, for instance, the Bahamas Socrates Million debacle. Saul Kirshner and his group had a similar challenge with the government, but they resolved their issues and they went on to conduct business. They wasn't all over the airwaves like crybabies or children, like wimps. Come on, man.
I hear you, and I put it down on the paper today for a part of the discussion. But you know, many people will not really agree with you. Some will agree with you. Many may agree with you. The bottom line is this: it's a free expression of what happens in our democracy. Every man has a right to decide his own destiny. Every man, and this is the whole point. People will do what they have to do because this is how
Watch
it
out,
is.
Steve. Fred may start singing. That's a Bob Marley quote.
Of course, you know, I don't mind if Fred sings, and we give Bob Marley the props, but every man has the right. And so when you see Moss does what he does, you may not like his method, but his method may turn out to be something quite extraordinary. You don't know. When Ingram them got thrown out and Piddling fired them, and everybody said, that's it for them. They can't get a nomination. The way it was done, I mean, it was just really ugly and nasty, and I suppose it was all with a lot of emotion. But I remember it quite well. I wrote through it. I was writing at the time and broadcasting at the time. The point what I'm making, though, is this, that people will do what they do because they're following their destiny, following their heart. And there's a time that comes in everybody's life when you've got to make a decision as to where you're going. Simple as that. Which way you're going. And you can't get mad for anybody. And this has nothing to do with no kind of being in a grouping that you can't agree to disagree and even decide to leave because of those disagreements. Hard copy, how are you?
Yes, Mr. McKinney, how are you doing? And you, Mr. Boswick, Alan Johnson.
Yes, Alan.
Yes, Steve. For some people, I say it's time for us to wake up. And I taken in the small doses is said to have medicinal purposes. Too much of it will actually kill you. We're having too much of Perry Christie. You know what? I just wanted to make some quick points. I am amazed at the systems of individuals who say that Greg Moss and Andre Rollins and the rest of them should stay in the system, stay in the party, and make some changes from within. And in the same breath, they say, when you're in this party, nothing gonna change. We are a system and it's work, and you sit small until your name is called. And so you can't have it both ways, where you say you have a democratic system and you have a system where nothing will change, but you must come in and something might change.
Yeah.
It doesn't work both
It's all
ways.
convoluted.
As for a point for in the election, I put to you that Mr. Perry Gladstone Christie should back somebody that's not sitting in Parliament, so that he could be constitutionally protected to continue to do what he's doing now, which to me is absolutely nothing, until 2017. By choosing someone or supporting someone that's not sitting in Parliament, like Mr. Rigby or Mr. Alfred Sayers or someone else, what it does is it allows him to say he commands the most respect because that particular leader is not sitting in Parliament. And as such, he can serve in the position of Prime Minister constitutionally straight out for the rest of his term, at which time that individual who is now party leader would then get to choose wherever they want to run in a particular seat. So you could continue with the status quo. As we begin to talk, you know, what we have to do is we have to realize there's a new dispensation. And we hear in people talking about experiences. I've had a conversation with even Mr. Boswick, or experience, Mr. Greg Moss experience. If you look at the world in 1982 was the beginning of the digital revolution, then in 1997, and we are in a new dispensation right now. From 1997 to now, you'll see 80% of the wealth in the world was generated by people they call the millennials. ideas is what drive the world right now. I put to you that if the Progressive Liberal Party had these innovative ideas and things, there's two things is on the table. Either they lack the capability or they know and they are deliberately doing this to us. I put to you that they do not have the capability to do it. These guys confuse technology with technical. And so they don't know the difference, and I would challenge any of the Progressive Liberal Party. I call it Progressive Liberal Pity Party, is to call in and state one 21st century idea, implementable idea in the last 3 years that has been expressed by the party or even attempted to be implemented. What has happened and my point on Mr. Wayne Monroe going into the party, there's something that the old guard is very good at. Let's use the new young people who came into the party.
Very quickly now, I've got a whole long list of lines.
This is very quickly. Yep. When they came into the party, the Progressive Liberal Party told them, "Come in. We want you to be part of government." The young idealists came in thinking that Perry Christie said, "We want you to be part of governance." And so language is very important. They wanted them to help them become government, but these guys was thinking they was going to be part of governance. And so it's time for us to actually become involved in our future. And this whole concept of experience no longer is valid in the 21st century ideas.
So Greg Moss is strong on the ground in Mako City, right?
You know, he's strong on the ground of Grand Bahama, as well as throughout the Family Islands, and I think there's a tremendous amount of support in New Providence. And I think what happens is you have these old guards, pundits, who want to continuously tell you, you don't have a right to think. This is only between two political parties. Can you believe they're telling a 21st century person that you will have no choice? You have no right to think. You're only going to choose two from what we tell you. That is where the problem is. And they're trying to, you notice we do keep repeating that, right? Yeah. The same old God, the same old mentality. Go to the 68%, go to the 58%, go to the millennials and have a conversation with them. And they are hungry, not for change, not just for change, but to actually have it implemented, to participate in their governance, in their lives, and we're going into the future. And I put to you, 2016 beginning on to 2017, you will see a shift of consciousness in our country where individuals will actually demand become involved in their life.
I appreciate it. Thanks for your call. Casey, Grand Bahama, how are you? Casey in Grand Bahama, you there? All right. He must have gone to another call. Let me see here. Hi there, Casey.
Good afternoon, Steve. How are you?
Very good, thanks.
Wonderful, and your guest?
Wonderful.
Good day, good day. Is that Casey?
No, okay. This is Voice.
Oh, this is Voice. I don't know. My numbers are anyhow. Go right ahead. Please talk with us.
Okay, these are the persons who I believe if they do not get together and do what they know what to do is right for this country, for the Bahamian people, I think these are the persons who can make the difference. I'm not sure what would keep them apart. It could be pride, could be ill will, but unless these persons get together and do what is right and not what they know is right to do for this country, I think that we will lose that prophecy that Mr. Myers Monroe gave. I think that we will fall back to that.
Going back to Egypt, eh?
Right. He had the names: Mr. John Boswick, Mr. Brian McCartney, Mr. Paul Moss, Brendel Wells, Greg Moss, Tintad, Miss Loretta Butler, Mr. Alquitas, Mr.
Rollins, yeah, Andre Rollins.
Unless these people put away pride or any ill will and work together, the Bahamian people are for these people. The Bahamian people, I believe, are convinced that these people have the best interests of this country at heart. And if they don't do it, no one else will do it. Have a good day.
I appreciate your call. That's quite interesting. People are looking at a convergence of minds, new people coming into the force. Some have been around. Most have been out there somewhere, but have never been able to shine. And they've got John Boswick has this brilliant idea of this 20-year plan or more. And it's brilliant. And you ought to read it. It's online. We'll tell you where you can get it in a minute. See, sometimes we get to the point where this is what we're supposed to be doing and we don't execute because We have hang-ups. Either you want to take this country to another level, or you want to have the same old. Believe me, my friends, we can stick with what we have, But don't complain, because this is what it is. This is how this game is played among the people who are playing it now. If you don't have these bright minds come together, form themselves, even if they make an attachment with some other party, but have what they have on the table to do for the country, with the innovation, the creativity, the courage, the drive, nothing's happening. Casey, how are you?
Hey, Steve, how you doing?
Yes.
And John, how you doing, sir?
KC, how you doing, bro?
So you remember
Glad
the
to know
last time
you
we met,
free.
John, I was at that Rubus meeting in Marathon.
Yes, that's the last time I saw you.
And I said something to you, and I still mean it. Okay, now listen. The conversation with Greg Morse, I think Greg Morse, he will make an excellent leader for this country. He's been saying the right things. He's been doing the right things. One thing I haven't found out from Greg Morse, like the PLP and the FNM, they both agree that this country will be better in the hands of the WTO. Greg Morse's position on that and your position on WTO will determine me. Today I will figure out who I will put my ex behind. And remember what I told you in our meeting. Remember that, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I want you to tell the people today, will WTO be the most important decision this country will ever make? Is it good or is it bad for this country? Steve, you know how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Well, KC, everybody knows I don't support WTO. I
But
support.
your party does, John. Your party does.
Well, it's me and my party are two different things. And,
Right.
and again, the whole point of this show is talking about future leadership and future direction. You
Yeah.
know, WTO, if for some godforsaken reason this administration ratifies it and signs it, there's nothing stopping us from walking out of a door that we walked into if you are free in a sovereign state.
But we need a real leader for that, John.
And the truth is that we need more than a real leader for that, Casey. We need to be doing some things toward being able to stand independent. You know, right now, the Bahamas is standing independent in this WTO whole one world order regime. You know, we haven't joined it. Everybody else is in, and we
Not
still,
everybody else, but in this region.
everybody in this region, and somehow or another, the whole world hasn't dropped on our heads. Okay, we can still put in the policies so that, like China, to some extent, should we accede to the WTO, we can do it in our terms. Okay, so we need to do many things, and one of which is, again, BAMSI was a poor attempt towards food self-sufficiency, but it was the right thinking. And we need to be more and more independent in our banking, in our ability to feed ourselves, in our energy. We need to solarize this country. There are many things we can do so that we can truly be a self-sufficient, self-sustaining, independent nation. And you wouldn't believe how many people would want to flock to such a place outside of the one world order to do business.
Yeah.
They would flock to it.
Casey, we're going to take you up on that. I know that is your pride. That is what you're interested in. I've been talking about it, trying to get the people ready for that for some time now. And of course, we've got to come together. We have to have a convergence when it comes to talk radio, because Casey does talk radio in Grand Bahama. And certainly we've got to come and have these topics in a way that they become national topics of interest and get on with the business of trying to build this country. Line one, how are you? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. McKinney.
Yes, this is Jay.
Yeah, this is Jay.
Jay, I'm listening.
Good afternoon to Mr. Boswick.
Good
Yes,
day,
sir.
Jay.
Mr. McKinney, I said this before and I can say this again. It ain't about the FNM, and it ain't about the PLP. It's about the people getting mature enough to accept the change that we need.
Yeah, I agree with you.
My two top person I see right now to really run the country is Mr. Brandon McCartney, and you have a gentleman there named Mr. Boswick.
Yeah.
And I throw you on that list as well, Mr. McKinney. Thank you.
I appreciate it. You try to throw me under the bus. I hear you. I have the mic. I'm the scout. Remember I told you? I'm the one trying to scout. I too old to play in my mind. I'm the scout. I'm trying to bring you the fellas, and then you all decide how y'all want to run this basketball team. Because we need a good team that can fast break and make layups, not fast break and miss. Not fellas who could go looking pretty and dribbling the ball all night and they missed the shot and they can't shoot free throws. Because that's what we have right now. We got a good basketball team named Bahamas. But boy, these power forwards and these centers and these point guards, they can't play. They really can't play. And they don't play team ball. And you go out and say he's sitting on the bench and he looking, and we just recruit this fella named, the country just recruit Wayne Monroe in the governing party, I suppose. I don't know if he's a power forward, small guard, shooting guard, or he just had to ride the bench. But I'll tell you this, they've been benching Rollins them so long that we ain't winning the game. And we are caught up in the whole confusion of, I's the coach. Who you hear saying that? I'm the coach. I'm the prime coach. I mean, play the fellas, man. Let's go. We need to win. And the country wins if we win. But, Hard copy, how are you?
Yes, hi. Good afternoon, Steve.
Yes, good afternoon to you.
And good afternoon, John.
Good day, sir.
Steve, I share your sentiments, and particularly the sentiments of the late Reverend Dr. Miles Monroe. We are coming to a pivotal time in the history of our country, an existential one, a watershed moment. And I believe that Bahamians all over these islands need to take seriously the decisions that have to be made in 2017. We have too much at stake. This is not about PLP. This is not about F&M. This is not about personalities. We are engaged in saving the soul of our country.
True.
When we look at the plethora of issues that we are confronted with, 35% unemployment among young people, where so many of our young people feel despondent, feel hopeless, feel as if there's nothing here for them. So many of our young people who have went over to the States and other parts of the world are not interested in returning home. We have a failing education system. We have an economic industry called tourism that has no real impact as relates to empowering our people. We have leaders who are detached and who are somewhat inoculated from the everyday affairs of Bahamians, and so we cannot take this time lightly.
No.
We cannot sell our vote. We cannot allow people to take us to parks and have good music and have good drinks and engage in foolishness. We have to be serious
and sober
as relates to what we are dealing with as a country. I look forward to your guests, persons such as John Bostwick and those other young, inspiring Bahamians who have expressed the desire to move this country forward. I want to probably encourage Mr. Bostwick and others. Let's go into these communities. Let's have town hall meetings where we call the people together, where we engage in dialogue and to hear where the people are coming from. Let's not just impose what we want upon our people, but let's hear what their expectations are as relates for this country.
I appreciate your call. Thank you. Well spoken, well said. I want to take two other calls, and I run to the break, and I come back and pivot and talk with John on many regards here that we've got to discuss here this evening, but I'll take these two calls. I'm holding the other calls after this. Hard copy, how are you?
Hi, good afternoon. How you doing?
Yes, sir.
Good. First time caller.
Hey, first time. Welcome along.
Yeah.
Welcome aboard.
Looking at this thing through a serious eye, Brave Davis have too much to lose if he runs against Perry Christie. He's going to lose that, and he's also going to lose being the deputy of the party.
Yeah.
Monroe is going to walk right in there and become the leader of that party if something was to happen to Mr. Christie. Hold it seriously.
Wayne Monroe.
Yes, sir.
So he sees a vacuum, he's gone for a good move.
Exactly. And if like I say, if Mr. Davis runs against the Prime Minister, he's going to lose, and he's also going to lose being the deputy.
Do you think people feel, Mr. Davis, I mean, the general public, I mean, not so much the PLPs, but the general public?
They don't, I mean, he's probably a good guy, you know, and all that, but Mr. Christie is not going anywhere. And, you know,
I hear you. I appreciate you calling.
So,
I appreciate
you. Brave has too much to lose unless Mr. Christie decides that he's not going to run anymore, and they do something whereas Brave will be the deputy until Mr. Christie decides to move out. He's not going to take that chance. Because like I say, if he loses that, he's going to drop to the bottom of the third poll, and Ray Monroe, one of those guys, is going to walk right in as the deputy and then eventually take over as the leader.
I appreciate it. Thanks for your call. That's quite interesting. You know, a lot of people over the years have been saying Brave doesn't have what it takes. He is not a good person who could be prime minister. There's been talk in the past that Christie and Ingram got together a long time and decided that they ain't gonna never let Brave be prime minister, that they weaken that mojo there to make sure he'll be prime minister. You've heard that talk, I'm sure. I don't know how true that is. All I know is that people like Brave. Brave can get the job done. Brave may be a breath of fresh air in that particular party because he's the man, he's their go-to man. Brave gets things done. If it wasn't for Brave, they may not have even been in the government this time. And those are the people on the inside of that party knows that. They'll never say it. They'll never say it.
The foot can't be the head, Steve.
The foot can't be the head, eh?
The foot work the hardest on the body, you know.
I know. It can't be the head. I see. Hard copy, how are you?
How you doing, Steve?
Very good.
Yes, brother Bonfrey.
Yes, sir.
Listen, let's go, Amos.
Listen, I had to call back that day and made sure everyone understood. I always appreciate your nationalism and the fight and the energy you bring. So it was I hope that my contribution did not offend you in any way, right?
Not at all, sir. Not at all.
Good. So I glad I get that out of the way. Merit. Steve, merit is a 5-letter word. If you divide it into two, the last 3 letters, that's what, as far as I'm concerned, Mr. Bonfrey, with the greatest respect, you're my boy, but you see, it's like a caller called earlier. We like you, but it's your party we have an issue with right now. Okay, so I'm going to be straightforward now. I ain't got no time. I don't lotion powder because ain't nobody playing with me. All right? The quality, see this word, Steve, rent. That's what they serve the advocating, the real advocating voice in the last 5 years, as of 2010 to present. Now, as for the first 2 letters, me, M-E, you see, I'm proving this by just their word that they refused. See, they gave me the verb part of merit, and they know the 1973, 67, 65, the house I came out of, that generation gave them the noun part of the word merit. You see, and that's what they have refused to give Amos. And I'm telling them today, as long as the leadership of you see now, the Free National Movement have a new leader, and I love that man. It's the party. All right? Now, the Progressive Liberal Party, I don't care who leads. My issue is with the party, not certain men or women in that party. I'm taking serious issue right now with the PLP Constitution and the Free National Movement Constitution. You want to lead this country, listen to me, what Dr. Miles Monroe is speaking about. Whether the rest want to accept the best, it's irrelevant. The word merit, you cannot stop the World Wide Web.
Let's run to the break. This is Hard Copy. It's 6:28, and Amos is on his own planet today, on his own groove, and I'm trying to be as patient as I can with him, but I'm going to invite him to don't call me until you have something to say that makes sense to me and to the callers. All right, Amos, I love you, but, you know, I don't know what's happening today. Who ticked you off and got you saying what you're saying. Hard Copy returns and rolls along in a minute. When I come back, I want to tell you that John is here with me. We're going to go over time because I'm going to give John his airtime. There's a lot of things that we've got to tell you. You want to listen to this. It's going to be quite interesting after the break.
Commonwealth Bank approves loans for tuition, uniforms, school supplies, travel, or computers. And this year, we have Summer Madness specials that make it even easier.
At Commonwealth Bank, I was automatically approved for a CB MasterCard.
As a special bonus, get automatically approved for a CB MasterCard or a CB Sun Card MasterCard. Plus, get a chance to win a travel voucher valued at $2,200.
Thanks, CB.
Thanks, CB.
Thanks, CB. Thanks, CB.
Thanks, CB.
Commonwealth Bank, leader in personal banking services.
The best insurance in town is Advantage Insurance on Collins Avenue. They are simply the best because they provide easy, affordable insurance rates for home, car, business, or whatever is valuable or important to you. Advantage Insurance and Brokers, 61 Collins Avenue, is the fastest, most progressive insurance company in the Bahamas because they really take care of you by making insurance totally affordable. Call them now at 356-0285 or 6 or email them at info@advantagebahamas.com.
Can't touch this. Introducing Total Auto Care, the new standard in auto care. Total Auto Care on Howell Road offers quality repairs at unbeatable prices. We're located just behind PDX and Bahamas Brace Place. Open Monday through Saturday, and we specialize in service and repairs of radiators, tune-ups, brakes, CV axles, shocks and struts, front end and alignment. And at Total Auto Care, you get same-day special order car part service because that's our specialty. Total Auto Care. You won't beat our prices anywhere. Guaranteed. Call us now at 341-6599. Total Auto Care, Howell Road. You can't touch this.
What you doing?
Oh, child, I right here tidying up. What you saying?
Hi, you ain't want let's go to Superwash today.
What happened? I ain't no problem, now. You and Junior still mad, eh?
Kinda. I guess I should have taken his cell phone from him before I did put him in that dryer.
Yeah, he can catch himself. Don't worry about that. That was only a bubbler anyhow. When you thinking about going?
I on your time, what time you could go?
Well, if you're going, let's go now. Because I will get there before love it or leave it come on.
Now, I don't believe it called love it or leave it,
Don't matter. You know what I'm talking about, right? Plus, we got to get there because I will get my special seat.
So which Superwash we going to, though?
Low Hill Road.
Oh, well, I know what seat you talking about. That's the one where you could stretch right off and do nobody disturb you.
You got that right. I coming right now, child. Superwash. They washes your process, cleans you, and entertains you 24/7.
Commonwealth Bank approves loans for tuition, uniforms, school supplies, travel, or computers. And this year, we have Summer Madness specials that make it even easier.
At Commonwealth Bank, I was automatically approved for a CB MasterCard.
As a special bonus, get automatically approved for a CB MasterCard or a CB Sun Card MasterCard. Plus, get a chance to win a travel voucher valued at $2,200.
Thanks, CB.
Thanks, CB.
Thanks, CB. Thanks, CB.
Thanks, CB.
Commonwealth Bank, leader in personal banking services.
I enjoy hard copy. I just love it, the information. It's informative, relevant, and timely. I love it.
Welcome back. This is Hard Copy. I want you to listen up because there are a lot of things that will be said here this afternoon. John Bostwick is my special guest of interest, as he is on Wednesdays on this show, unless we change things around and he comes in on Thursdays or Fridays. But he's here. He's a part of the establishment of going forward in the country. No matter what happens, we've got to lift our voices and speak truth to power. And that's what is the whole thing about leadership. When one is destined to be a part of something great, many challenges come to those individuals. If you look at the history books, littered with people who were destined to do something wonderful, and it was no easy walk in the park. The good book says, and Jesus says that, I promise to be with you. And all that you go through, our Father says, look, I will be with you in all these troubles and stuff. He didn't say you won't go through them, but he says, as you go through them, remember that I am with you. The country is going through something. And as we go through something, he has sent us a lot of people who have ideas and the keys to get us out of the mess. But the spiritual wickedness and principles in the air and all that kind of stuff, they have their own thing. And remember, this is a different world down here. And people do things, and I'm soberly talking to you today. I want you to hear this. Things happen because there are always forces that want not the people to be blessed or to accomplish or to get there where they are destined to go. The big story that is always going to be relevant is Moses and going to the promised land. You know how much of them people start saying, let's go back? We can't take this. You know when they got there, they say, they're giants of the land, we can't possess it. They're challenges. You know, Moses cussed them a couple of times on the road and missed going into the promised land. And he struck the rock, drink ye, rebels drink. These are things that happen to provoke man who is on a mission to do things. John is one of those individuals. So is Greg Moss. So is Rollins and Renwood and many others. There are many others. Loretta Butler. There are many others who are doing things to get the country balanced in the right direction. That's all they want to do. And they've been chosen for this time, But we can be so ignorant, so arrogant, and so full of ourselves or so dismissive. I don't believe that. I don't believe this. That we miss what is happening here. We are in a mess. Let me just tell you, this country is in a mess. We are in a mess that you have no idea. We have placed all of our eggs in one basket. It has collapsed. Our economy is in trouble, and the people who rate us, the Standards and Poor's and the Moody's, they're saying, hey, what you can do now? What you saying for yourself? Understand that. The bottom line in all this is junk bond status. The bottom line in all that is the devaluation of the dollar. We're in a mess. You ain't got no job. Jobs ain't being created. Investors can't come if you've got junk bond status. There's nothing to come here for. They're not interested. You need to know where you are as a country. And while that's happening, you've got fellas that are moving around the place, deciding that they're going to pick who's going to be the next leader. They can be this. They can play plenty politics. But the country is not being governed. Not sufficiently good. Not at all. That's not an opinion. You check and read the newspapers. You pick up the newspapers, murders, robberies. The police now standing up with cards like demonstrators saying, look, make sure you lock up all your cars. Look at the papers. This is your police force. Others have come into the country through the illegal means of migration, and they're wreaking havoc on the country, breaking up ambulances, stealing ambulance. You may say they're only one incident. You've got to understand the trends. And broken a police car. We've got boats, $233 or $39 million worth of boats that have been deployed in our waters, in these open waters with so many entrances and exits. We're working hard. We're spending every dollar. We're paying every bill. We're taxing people. There are more taxes to come. Ketis is cute this morning in the newspaper saying that there will be no increase on value-added tax right now, but there will be some increase in value-added tax. Has to be. Because Standards and Poor's then downgrade us, and Moody's just got us on a limb. And they need that money to be paid toward the national debt, and to service our debt, and to get that debt ratio down. You ain't know America. Don't compare yourself to them. They're in debt too, and you may say, yeah, country to country. Listen here. We may all be country, but all of us are not equal. There are some countries more equal or more privileged than others. We have no leadership talking to us soberly about what's going to happen. No one speaking on the telephones, or not the telephones, the national service, they have access to it, to say it's going to be okay. No calming balm, just a bunch of people moving around, maneuvering to be in charge. To be in charge of what? Country that's failing? You've got an opportunity. Many have come out of those governing parties and opposition forces because they're not pleased, not for personal stuff. They're not pleased because the whole temperature is wrong, and it doesn't seem as if they can make any influence on the inside. So they've come out from among them. Sometimes that has to happen. But more importantly, on this subject matter that we are going to talk about today, with this conversions, tells us that John Bostwick and all Anum if they're on their high horses, must get down off their high horses. They must find their brother and hold their hand. And people of like mind, holding hands in unity, can change anything. We can do this. It is our country. It is a young country. Let not anybody in their 70s or older decide for you. This is a different kind of decision that we're making. This is not electing a political party. This is making a decision to make a paradigm shift from all that we have been doing that's not been working to making a change that for things that can work for you, for yourself if you're still kind of young, and for your children, and especially for your grandchildren. The heirs and successors of these here rocks and keys, as has been articled in the Constitution of the Bahamas. The way we're going right now, we could be a displaced people in 5 years. No immigration policy, no kind of way of clearing it up. Nobody speaking truth to power, and nobody interested in it because everybody's got their own game that they're playing. Well, let's begin that conversation one more time as I welcome John Bostwick to the microphones. John, good to see you.
Steve, always good to be with you.
I've got a soundbite to play for you from the last time you was here. Then I'm going to play a soundbite from Renwood Wells, just because I want to show people that there is commonality. This is on the idea of convergence.
They're scared of the fact that whether together or not, the John Bostwick, the Michael Pintard, the Greg Moss, and the Granville, even McCartney have a common purpose. Okay, and that common purpose is to see a fundamental change in leadership across the board in this country. All right, so that is what they're scared of, and they could only pray to God that we don't figure out how to stand together as a united front. But Steve, you hear me say all the time here, the born free nationalists, born free nationalism don't carry no color, you know. Yes, I am an F&M, but born free nationalism don't carry no color. It don't carry no race. It don't carry no creed. It don't carry no white, no black, no red, no yellow. In fact, it carries 3 colors, you know, aqua, marine, marigold, and black. It carries the colors of the Bahamian flag. That is what they feel.
That's John. This is Renwood Wells yesterday.
That is what we are all speaking about, Steve.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be a John Bostwick, a Paul Morse, a Granville McCartney, an Andre Rollins, a Greg Morse. But you are right, Steve. The most interesting, or I would say cog in the wheel, is this. And I've also spoken to this on your show on a number of occasions over the past 2 or 3 years. I said, all us want to be prime minister, eh? All the young fellas want to be prime minister, and ain't nothing wrong with that. You should always aspire to the very highest heights. Don't mean you can get there. Because there were many who aspired to be prime minister during the time of Sir Lyndon. They didn't, a lot of them, there was many who aspired during Mr. Ingram's time or even Mr. Christie's time. And they're still aspiring. That don't mean you're necessarily going to get there. But the fact of the matter is we all aspire to that. But how do you then determine who should have it? And whether that should be the thing that keeps you from coming together. I believe, and Andre said it well today, and as I said, I've spoken about it before too. If you come together as a grouping, the leader organically emerges in those kinds of situations. And we did it before, Steve. We proved it. When we had our own party that you helped us promote in times past, we said everybody who joined was going to have an opportunity to vote and decide who leads. We'll have a debate. Steve, we put it on. We demonstrated that.
John Bostwick, that was Renwood Wells just now, but John Bostwick, you heard those 2 sound bites. Now, we're talking today about this whole concept of convergence, this coming together, these same minds saying the same things, wanting to build the same country, but are from different persuasions politically. Now, can it happen? You believe it can happen. Renwood Wells believes it can happen. Greg Moss is preaching that it must happen. Rollins is saying it should happen, but there may be something that's blocking it. What's that thing that can happen to give the Bahamian people some hope and some ghost of a chance that there's a new political direction whose time has come in the country? Speak to that for me, John.
Steve, there's so much that you've said, and I think this is the longest that I have sat here in silence, and it has been refreshing, honest to God. It has been incredibly refreshing and incredibly empowering to listen to the calls that came in. As I always do, I sit down and I cover myself. People don't realize the nuances and the pressures of live radio. So I don't know how you come here every day and open yourself.
I'm crazy.
Yeah, it is an opening of self. I don't think people realize that. It is an opening of self to all things, good or bad. Steve, that said, those names that you heard me almost spit out last time I was here and that you were hearing, I will give a confession. And I, to my brothers, you heard me start using some terms of the coalition of the willing and things like that. I will give and you heard Danny Johnson call while I was here last time. And I said, oh, that's a member of the coalition of the willing. You saw when I came in here one day, I came in unexpectedly with Wayne Monroe. He's a member of the coalition of the willing. The three of us sat around a table every Wednesday and dealt with the government of the day and then the opposition of the day as nationalists, coming from different angles, but as nationalists. We all went different directions. Seems that Wayne and Danny linking up again, but as it is, I'll go even further, Steve. And yes, you heard me say that before the last election, I suggested to Granville McCartney that the move that he was making was not the right move at the time. John Bostwick, Paul Moss, Renwood Wells, Andre Wallings, Cleaver, Cassius, Omar. Cassius and Omar sometimes get forgotten in this, but Cassius and Omar were fighting. They were the DNA for quite a time.
Yeah.
And they fought long and hard. And in fact, they were more aggressive in their resistance than the DNA. I mean, they fellas chained themselves to the Prime Minister gate. They were seriously pushing some issues. All of those names you heard me call just now, Steve, before the last election, we used to meet regular in one room, face to face around one table with a commonality of purpose. What changed the dynamic was the arrival of Brian McCartney. And once he approached, everybody went their separate ways. I won't go any deeper into that at this time. But once he approached, I went and joined the FNM, as did Cassius and Omar. Renwood and crew went over to the PLP, and the rest is history. Now, and I say that flatly, there is the need for a convergence, for commonality. Steve, I've gotten so far that I say this might be time, I said it here, it might be time for a national government. People don't understand that Westminster within itself, the Westminster in England, there's been more than one occasion in the 20th century where England has been ruled by a national government, i.e. the best of the best being brought to the front and the parliamentary system abandoned, the party system abandoned in the name of national governance. We need the best people. I am there in my mind a long time ago, Steve. When you talk about the ship of state, there's so many things you said. You know, I was writing and drawing graphs. When you talk about the ship of state, words that came to me is rudderless, on the rocks, listing, taking on water, black clouds on the horizon, and black sails of the pirates in the harbor waiting to plunder her. They have been, wrecking used to be an industry here, legitimate. And it seems that some elements within our administrations are still heavily in the business of wrecking. It was government got their cut. Okay, and this is for me rudderless. Why is it rudderless? Because he who controls the till, Steve, I've said this so many times, he who controls the till will control the will and the direction. The till on a ship is the rudder. So he who is pumping money into these politicians who are for sale, If you could buy a politician, what else is for sale in the country? Every blessed thing else. If a country is financing its growth and is existing by the sale, via the sale of over 50% of its land, come on, man, that's a government policy. Sell the land. That is a fiscal policy in the Bahamas. Sell the land. Sell the birthright. What happens when they run out of land, Steve? You can sell us next.
Perhaps.
No, they done selling us. All right? They're already trading our birthright because our birthright is the land. Bahama land. This is our birthright. One of the things that has struck me recently I'm constantly researching. I can't stop. I'm on a knowledge quest. I can't ever know enough. Because if you're a philosopher, you think you know nothing. No matter how much you know, it's still nothing in the scale of things. Christ said, all the wisdom that Solomon had, he know nothing. That's a Christ message. He didn't know. Why is this man to live in creation? Know nothing. Couldn't figure out how the Father made a blade of grass. Okay? So when you look at where we must now go, for me, Steve, it is so fundamental that no, we can no longer stay rudderless. We can no longer allow the foreign person, the person who is not intrinsically interested in the development of the Bahamas and its people, to be the persons who are investing solely in our governance, because it will only be to their selfish end and nothing good for us. And that's what we got. We cannot allow foreign interests to control our banks, own our land, and control our banks. Who is that person who is intimately invested and concerned about the development of John Bostwick and Steve McKinney and the lady on the corner and the lady over there? Or are they interested in ensuring that foreign interest and foreign investment is the primary concern of every government since independence, which it has been? The IDB could write reports 10 years ago and say, look, you people need a plan of your own, because it appears to us that successive administrations in the Bahamas have been governed using ad hoc policies based on the presence or lack thereof of direct foreign investment. That was the IDB conclusion of us the better part of a decade ago. Look, you better have your own direction. It seems that the only thing your government and your leaders are concerned with is attracting foreigners here to buy your birthright. Okay? So when you say on the rocks, every system in catastrophic failure. Legal system, the penal system, the health system, the education system, immigration, every system of governance in catastrophic failure. Report after report after report, PHA report, National Insurance report, hospital report, not a blessed one says, what a glowing level of achievement being achieved by the Department of, not one. Not one. The Minister of Education saying he feels encouraged by the average. It hasn't gotten too much worse. What? The Minister of National Security saying, I need help from the public. I need help. I don't know. We can't stop. What? What are you telling me? The Minister of Health saying, ain't no drugs in the hospital. The people are dying from staph infections.
And we, the people, are apathetic. We're discouraged. We're not participating. There's no public outcry on many things because we don't feel a part of anything going forward for us. Our children can't even find jobs. They can't own anything. Our parents are losing homes that they're living in. The workforce is being, I suppose, butchered and betrayed. I mean, they're talking now even about no more gratuity, the 15% that was so long ago fought for. A lot of things are falling apart, even right down to the common man, and it touches everybody. And I'm wondering, do you think, John Bostwick, that people out there in general are feeling the effects of poor governance to the point where they want to be rid of everything that resemble a kind of this particular group that's on the scene, or what they've been used to in the past? Do you think that the people are in a mood now to really bring about the kind of change that this country really needs, which is a part of the premise of why this convergence is happening in minds among youngsters, people who are in their 30s, early 40s, that kind of stuff now, whose time it is to be governing, but others have not been moving out of the way, and we seem to be stuck in this mode of this is how we do it. Do you think the Bahamian people are ready for this kind of thinking, or do you think that we are so small in our minds still that it's all about two parties and that's all we can see, and if you don't line up with one of them, nothing's going to happen, because all the other countries are doing things to change their situation so that people can be empowered, so that they can stand a chance? Do you think that we are there yet, or do we still lack, as one caller said, the maturity to actually understand what is happening to our country?
Steve, the word is maturity. The word is maturity. We are an incredibly young country. And however, I think we have just now, over the past 2 to 3 years, matured. We've grown up. And that is the change. That's this massive change. The born-free generation is now grown up. The born-free generation is now as old as this country, and they're young 40s, and they are a different breed of human being. They are a unique breed of human being on the planet Earth. Like I keep telling people, amongst the born-free, probably only about 100,000 on the planet Earth, when you think about it. So when I say that, understand what I mean. Persons born under the Bahamian flag, not under the British flag, becoming paper Bahamians like all these fellas who they have a problem with. All right. I say it just like that. Mm-hmm. I'm talking people born in 1973 under those colors that I detailed. When you look at the numbers in our population, that's not 300,000. It is now the majority of us who are voting, but that is the first time in history where approximately 70% of the next electorate are going to be born free Bahamians. There is going to be a quantum shift. Now, how does that happen? Not only do those names that I listed off need to get back to our discussions, and we need to get back to holding hands because unity is strength, but that born free 70% need to raise up their voice. Mm-hmm. They need to become loud and agitated. This is why it was so refreshing. I said, listen to these calls. There should be, every caller should be a first time. Everybody should be picking up that phone. Everybody should want to be having their voice heard. Everybody should be calling for the leaders that they want. You get what you demand, If you go into any food store, Super Value in Nassau, and everybody is asking for a particular type of cream, and they say, well, we want Steve McKinney cream. We don't have that. We don't stock that. They walk out the shop. 2 more people come in that shop that day and say, we want Steve McKinney cream. We don't carry that. They walk out the shop. By the next week you walk in there, guess what they have on the shelf? Steve McKinney cream.
The band.
You understand? Mm-hmm. Because they are in the business of selling that product to you. We have to remember that the people are the purchasers. The people are the bosses. The people are the ones to be served. They managed to turn this thing around and have the people feeling like they are the servants, serving these demigod politicians who go from living next door to living behind the gate. And somehow or another, we think that's okay. So they are so elevated, and they've created a dependent society where you got to go to an MP for a job. You got to go to a politician to get a hole in the road patched. This is insanity. But this is the system that they have created on purpose. so that you have to go and ask and beg and curry favor. You shouldn't have to curry no favor. I paid to have that road maintained in a certain way. I should be in a position where I own you and I go and I demand that it's fixed. And if you don't fix it, you out. That is where we need to be thinking. You're not doing me no favor. Somehow or another around in the Bahamas, people are doing you a favor when they do a job. And this has been transcended throughout our society.
We're losing ground, John Bostwick. Now that you talk about that, I just want to stop for a second and make an observation that I'm sure the nation saw last night on television. I happened to be sitting down after eating and looking at the television, and I saw on the television this person employed in the country, perhaps as a consultant, I don't know, talking about the paving of these potholes, the patching of these potholes. And I noticed his accent. And I became depressed. I'm not going to lie about it. I don't know the good gentleman. I think he's an expert at what he's doing and all that. I just noticed that here we are, 42 years later. And I hear another voice with another accent that's not mine, telling me how they're going to patch the roads of New Providence.
Bahamians can't even patch road.
I felt sick. Now, the gentleman, I don't want him to feel bad if he's listening. Don't take it personal. I'm saying just what you're saying. The system is so fixed against our own people that I'm hearing this last night, like thousands of Bahamians did. This voice telling me about how they're going to patch the road. See, John, I don't know if people pick up to what I'm saying, because I don't want to be insulting or condescending to anybody. I'm saying to you, my God, if this where we are in the born-free generation, post-1973, and this is a relatively young person who's speaking with his accent, I'm saying to myself, Steve, this is your country. And you hear that? And you hear who's saying that? And that scares me, because even now in the born-free generation, with the people in their 40s who are supposed to have accomplished and be ready to just patch this doggone road, I'm hearing another voice from another culture and another nationality. Now, listen to me. I found that as an insult. That rocked my world last night. I found myself sitting up on my bed just thinking about that. And that bothers me to this minute. I'm saying that, how that could be. How could it be? How can this be? You see, you may say, well, that's a small matter. That's the problem. That's the problem, because we keep overlooking it. When is it going to be our time to even talk about how we're going to pave and patch the roads, our roads? Forgive me, John.
To take a point and to give an example on the roads, hole in the road. I've said more than once here, Steve, that if they were serious, they would decentralize the Ministry of Works. There could be 3 Bahamian companies right now, 4, with contracts zoned in 4 quadrants of New Providence, contracted to make sure that there are no holes in the road, and held responsible. The only thing the Ministry of Works needs is one fella riding around all day and reporting as to where the fellow who got the road contract to maintain and fix potholes is not keeping up his job. And he sent a letter, Mr. Jones, you're contracted to maintain Prince Charles from XYZ to XYZ. The road, you will stand to lose your contract, or we can hold you liable, or we can cancel your money, or you could that could be thriving business for some strong, young, born-free Bahamians. It should not be that you call the Minister of Works to get a hole fixed in front of your house. That's insanity. And it makes you dependent. See, they want you coming to them. They want you to say, I did that for you. I fixed the hole in front of your house. Who are you going to vote for? That's madness, Steve. And it's not that this is purposeful.
That's the point.
This is purposeful. Back in the day, and this is why I keep saying I am blessed to be around lions, old lions. You know how many times my father sued the government, even when he was a supporter of an administration, for a pothole? You let J. Henry Bostwick right now ride him a big hole in his tire boys. He go into the government for that money. because they have a duty to maintain the roads. J. Henry Bostic sued the government for not erecting a proper fence around Windsor Field because they used to hit cricket balls and break my grandmother's window. It's their responsibility. It's their responsibility. There was a time when the government of the Bahamas used to be held accountable by the people of the Bahamas, not by some big shot or some watchdog. No, the people of the Bahamas are to hold their government accountable.
Those were good days. We need them again.
Somehow or
Can
another.
your conversions with these other men and women of like minds bring us back to a place that is sanity?
We must. And again, but you see, Steve, these like-minded men and women, we must have the support of the people. It's only, you know, cheer for gladiators while they cut down. And then you go home and sit down and watch the Bold and the Restless, the Young and the Free, whatever else you're watching on foolishness. Go watch the NBA game. You watch the champion get cut down in the arena that day. And you say, well, let's see who come next. Who can fight for us next? Come on, man. The people must stand up. They must stand up and say, enough. Enough. Downtown George Street. You could go there right now and watch 15 to 20 big rats running around in the road. Running around in the road in front of the hotel with tourists, up and down, up and down, up and down. We have a joke where we tell the tourists downtown, they're not rats, man. They're urban squirrels. They are urban squirrels, man. The rats don't run from you anymore in Nassau. And we all know this is true. Wherever you go in Nassau, this place is infested. Why won't we stand up? Why won't we say enough is enough? No more. We don't care who's leading. Whoever you are, no more from you.
Yeah. Do your job.
Do your job. More than do your job. More than this. Not that your job is not to maintain the status quo. Your job is to advance this country. And if you're failing to advance this country, if you're failing to grow the company profits, you're fired. I didn't put you here to maintain my sales. I put you here to advance, to grow. And we've been accepting of the fact that there's no growth for 40 years. And so we say, well, let's bring back the old CEO. See if he learned anything while he's been in exile. Because these young fellas, they don't know nothing. Look, I value my forefathers. When my grandparents were alive, I sought more advice and guidance. In fact, one of the people I miss most on this planet Earth is my grandmother. She led me in the understanding and the reading of people. I tell her this and this and that. Well, that's very, very important. But I never asked her how to upload something to the internet. I never asked her to advise me on how to maneuver and to manipulate this modern world. With the greatest respect, 75 and 70-year-old persons are asking 17-year-old people how to maneuver through this world. They don't know it. They don't know it. They really don't know its layout, its functioning. And so they go to the children. Cut on the TV for me, man. I know how to even cut that on. All right, wait a minute. You've been in here and you hook the cable up, or you put the internet and you put this on that and this. Fix that back how that was, please. I don't know how that get like that. I don't even watch the news.
You're right about it.
This is facts. This is truth. But yet these same people will tell you, I gotta leave the country. You ain't ready. You can't even cut on the TV, bro. You can't be serious. You cannot be serious. But they deathly serious. They're deathly serious. And it's not a joke. And I'm not making a joke. I'm serious.
No, it's a good example of what you said because it's reality and we can all relate to it.
It is. And you know, Steve, you mentioned all our eggs in one basket, Bahama. Steve, I've spoken to this country status report of the IMF 2013 to 2014 so many times. Steve, it was three things: VAT, Bahama, and gaming. Strikeout, strikeout, and strikeout. VAT at 15%, not 7.5%, and it was supposed to be in almost a year ahead of the time when they did implement it. So you tell me, any thinking, common sense thinking person, if you start to make a payment 1 year late and at half the agreed value, you think you're in problems with whoever you owe that money?
Obviously.
You're in some deep problems. In fact, you have not kept your commitment. You're full of some stuff.
You can't get no good report.
You can't get no good report. Okay? Then you turn around and say, anyway, you mess up on that one. Let's see how you perform on this next one. Bahama, it ain't open yet. They committed to the IMF to have that place open last year, December. And there's no foreseeable date on the opening. I said, man, wait a minute. That's one of the reasons why I said I wouldn't downgrade him and strike two.
So let's now downgrade him.
Okay, no, let's look at gaming. Let's see if he can get some money from gaming. Ain't get $1 yet. All right, gone through a whole bamboozle, cock and bull referendum, mislead the people when they had already committed to our creditors that they would legalize and tax it. Why would you play with the people like that, Steve?
Have the money to pay.
Why would you play with the people like that, Steve?
No plan, not serious.
Okay, and then selling false dreams, and then you get so used to playing this game of falsehood and hope and help is on the way and this and all of that, that you try and sell the same thing to international agencies. Come on, man, you cannot be serious.
Believe in your own propaganda. You think you can get away with it?
But sometimes you become, like I always tell people, play the fool. Don't tell me you only play the fool. If you play the fool for 10 years, you was a fool.
Yeah.
You are a fool. Don't try to come and tell me it was only an act after 10 years of playing the fool. So if you get so used to weaving falsehood and selling hope, you get so used to that. That becomes who you are.
You're the character.
Okay, that becomes who you. Anybody come sit in front of you, you tell him any old foolishness. Any old fool about the Bahamian people is buy it every 5 years. Let me try this on S&P. Let me try this on Moody's. Let me try this on the IDB. Let me try this on the IMF and see if they can buy my foolishness too.
You know, Galana says in the papers this morning, and I read it already, I think Davis is a person who has delivered on promises he made. That's powerful. He says, that's what we need in the country. We don't need people who are not going to return phone calls or who are not going to step up to the plate and assist persons who need government assistance. This says a whole lot about the procrastination, the jiviness of persons who have been getting away with this game, as you speak, to the point where that has become part and parcel of the character, the experience, and so no one takes you serious. Nothing happens.
Steve, would you want a person who simply doesn't answer your phone call? You know, you're trying to make this call, and the person is not answering the phone call. Okay, you're waiting on something. I'm calling. Johnny answers phone call. You would think, well, I better don't wait on that. I can't even speak to him.
All right.
But if John is kind of answers the phone call and says, hey, Steve, how you doing? Boy, waiting on you. Say, coming right now. Hang up the phone and you never see him. Which one you prefer? All right. Which one? Because that one who's told you, man, he answered the phone, coming right now. When he hang up the phone, you turn around and tell the fellow you got $2 for. Boy, John coming right now. Don't worry about it. I coming to check you in 2 minutes. John on the way. John on the way. John on the way. John on the way. All right.
John
hoping to
never
help.
come.
It ain't reached yet, Steve. I don't care if you answer the phone, but I want you to tell me the truth when you answer the phone. You understand? I want you to commit and deliver, not just question. Answer the phone. Hey, how you doing? And see, this lip service politics, this go to the funeral politics, this kiss the baby politics. Oh, I see him. He's to the front. Come on, man. I don't need to never see you. I don't need to ever, ever, ever see you. I want you to do your job. I want to see your results. That's what I want to see. I don't need to see you. And so we need to step away again. The people, we need to step away from this. Oh, I see him, and oh, he's been to church, and no, what has he done?
How has he made your
done?
Community better?
How has he advanced your community, his constituency? How has he performed? What has he done in all of the cabinet ministries he sat as a cabinet minister? What has he done? Where are the institutes? Where are the marked achievements? Anybody who's been the Minister of National Security in the last 40 years should be ashamed, because crime has only gotten worse. And Fox Hill Prison still stands there as one of the most draconian, decrepit places. How are you going to put a human being in there and expect him to come out anything but a beast? Anybody. Come on, man. You look around. Anybody who's been the Minister of Education in the last 40 years should be ashamed.
So, what do you think is the convincer, if I can use that, to get people to see what the real issues are and to be a part of the discussion on the real issues? Do you see debates between, or would you advocate that there be the kind of national dialogue at different places at different times to bring people along? Somebody suggested it earlier. Why I'm asking this is because wouldn't it be wonderful if we have all of those persons like yourself and others who are thinking like that to have a soapbox, a platform, somewhere to speak from all the time to bring about the change that we want to see? Because it appears to me that you've got the right message, and even though you're on radio, you've got to reach even more people with what this message is as a group of individuals who are saying, this is what we are about. Maybe young people are misunderstood. Maybe they don't understand those wonderful ideas that are there swirling around on the heads of a John Bostwick, Paul Moss, Greg Moss, and the others. Maybe they don't see it. Maybe they have to be convinced by some kind of an example of people coming together like you all and saying, this is what the paper reads. This is what we're trying to accomplish. This is how you can help these things be accomplished. What do you say to that?
This is our soapbox. Paul Moss sits here. Greg Moss been here. Renwood been here. Sean is here every week. You've created a soapbox. You've created a platform. And the country is listening. What I am saying is, it is time for them to stop listening and to start moving and to start blowing up this phone when I'm not here, when Paul isn't here, and blowing up this phone and saying, we want the born-free nationalists. We want born-free nationalism to lead this country. They need to be in the street. They need to be in their offices. They need to be in their churches. They need to be wherever they are, calling for what they want. We want Steve McKinney cream, and it would be on the shelf. We want this one and that one and this one and that one. We want them. And these two major parties will go out and try to get them, who they're calling for, to lead them. The people must call for it now. It has been there, Steve. Steve, you don't know how many years we've been talking?
Yeah.
It is there. It is there. It's there. Steve, you display it every blessed day. Every day.
But what do you think is keeping the people separated in their way of not grabbing and taking action? What is that? Is it fright? Is it fear? Is it fear of victimization? Is it that they're just that indifferent, that they don't care? Is it that we are not mature enough to understand that we have to look out for these children that we brought along and our grandchildren? What is it? What is it that separates us from?
It's the fear of victimizing. You heard Greg say it. Greg couldn't name his supporters. Yeah. Greg could not name the people who are with him because they are not in an independent a position as he is in, nor are they prepared to live a life as hard as he is prepared to live it. Like you keep saying, Greg has come from hard upbringing. Greg ain't scared of life. People think I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth. That's just not true. My parents sacrificed. My parents carried mortgage into their 60s. They sacrificed. They decided that the advancement of the generation behind them was more important than them. That's how we must think. That's how any parent should think. I will sacrifice all for my son. He eats first. He eats first. And that's how it must be. How can it be any other way? It is the only way that we must move forward, Steve.
We've got a whole lot of people who, in fact, feeding the whole idea of the born-free generation, of a new beginning, of a paradigm shift. Miles has prophesied it. Many others have prophesied it. People are talking about it every day. It's on their minds. first and foremost. Never mind that they may not articulate it. You get them going, they'll tell you. It's all over the place. People are talking about it all the time, that they know that we need a new beginning. They don't have the confidence that they used to have in the old warriors who are still around, but seem to lack the creativity, the acumen, the kind of interest that can make people feel like they are supposed to be a part of something fresh and new. And I know for a fact that we have to make a list. I've already made a list, and I've been saying this for the last 4 or 5 years, of the 100 men and women that we must look forward to be the catalyst of a beginning in this country that will change this country around. They are all over the place in different political parties right now, but they have what it takes. They have what it takes, John. And I'm going to reveal that list this week, possibly on Friday on this show, and share it with the Bahamian public, because we've got to begin to turn our attention to things that matter, not this crazy trite stuff of just talking partisan politics. We've got to begin that process, and you'll be surprised to know who would be a part of that listing that would have been submitted over time by people calling for this one and that one and the other one. And so I want to share that with you, because I've been keeping a record. You know, I'm the record keeper.
You are the record
I keep the archives. I can tell you. All scouts keep good records. They know about fellas in different schools and different things and what they can do. And this one can throw and that one can kick. And whatever they're recruiting, the scouts would know that, yes, this is a good pick. So we're going to start giving those people, just not that they have consented, not that they are willing parties, but that people see in them leadership. People see in them something that they bring to the table. And so we're going to begin that process, as I told you, or renew it, because we started already 4 or 5 years ago, so that people can get an appreciation for what we're talking about.
You know, somebody just sent me a note, and there are 2 points I want to make. Somebody just sent me a note saying that I must tell you that they felt the same way when they heard the gentleman with the foreign accent.
Yeah,
that it sickened them.
Oh man, it was terrible.
And then they sent a little message, and they said, you know, for them, the Bahamas is like a lost ship being steered by seasick, drunken sailors.
Yeah, that's a good summing up.
That's a serious thing. One of the things you said in your intro, Steve, and I don't know, because I hadn't said anything to you, and I had meant to say it to you. In fact, I meant to call you on it. The prayers for all of those you named, and the fact that this battle is beyond the physical.
Of course.
Okay?
Of course.
Steve, absolutely. I said some things when I was here last time, and I talked about not allowing subcultures to become entrenched within and create their own little subsections and communities within in our beautiful Bahamas. And I made mention of certain religious practices that have been adopted in Haiti. And I said, we don't want that to happen here, and this and that, this and that. Steve, you know, somebody who I've known from a child came to me in quite a, I don't want to say fully hostile, but in a serious way, to tell me I better watch what I say, and I better be careful what I say, that I better don't speak out against that, all right? That I better watch myself, okay? This is a serious thing that we're dealing with. This is no joke. And so, again, I've said right here on this show more than once, the prayers of the righteous availeth much. When you and I were sitting down here talking to the Met office, and the fellow was saying, boy, they're looking at this storm coming and this, and baking, batting down. I asked one question. I said, which way we need that storm to go? He said, well, really, it'd be good if it went to the west. I said, praying people, did you hear that? Which way the storm went, Steve?
To the west.
And dissipated.
That's right.
Prayers can change much.
Absolutely.
But prayer without works
is dead.
Is dead. Where good men stand aside and watch great evil. Okay? We have to get up off our knees and start marching towards the promised land. We've been on the borderline a long time now.
Yeah.
On the borderline almost 3 years. It's time for us to cross the border, cross Jordan.
That's exactly what Renwood said yesterday.
Okay.
You're on the brink of Jordan.
Okay.
The proverbial Jordan. We've got to go to the other side.
It's time to cross Jordan. And I don't need any metaphysical occurrence. The Father don't have to spread the Jordan for me. I build a boat. But we getting over there.
Mhm.
Okay? It's time to cross Jordan. Yes, they are giants. These fellas, they are huge. They've been able to grow and get fat for 40 years. Fat off the land, off of selling the land and eating the proceeds.
And they wield the big stick.
And they got more than big sticks.
Powers.
Powers.
They're in charge. They run the show.
But we are told that we must not fear any principality at all. And the word is principality. At all. We are to get off our knees, to put on the full armor, and cross Jordan and possess the land without any concern or second thought. That's the time now. So it is time for the people, for the born free generation, to stand up. We are the majority. We are the majority.
70%.
We are the voting majority. It is time for us to stand up and refuse to be partaking and participants in foolishness anymore. Beyond parties, you know. Beyond party colors. Nothing to do with a party. Which is why I'm glad that you haven't pulled me into all this discussion with who moving where. It's musical chairs, okay?
No, I'm not interested in it.
Okay?
We know the distractions when we see them.
All right? It's ain't no time for musical chairs. And like I said last time I was here, the party is over. This ain't no time for party tricks. It's no time for magicians, smoke and mirrors, muddying of water.
Real issues, real concerns.
Okay?
We have to deal with.
The storm is rising. The ship is listed. The seas are coming up. We need all able-bodied seamen on deck to their stations, moving this ship of state now.
Save the ship.
Now. SOS. This is what I've been saying for some time. Could be save our ship, save our souls, save our sons. But it's time to move. The SOS is blinging.
Yeah.
It's blinging like a doggone air raid siren. Okay? Some of the things I said here recently, Steve, have picked up some traction. I see notices went out. I see notices went out to the shanty towns from environmental health. I said it should start well. Environmental health needs to put out notices. Let us see if there will be notices followed by the Ministry of Works. Let us see if we will hear them bulldozers running and smell diesel in the air. Because it is that easy with will. With will. And I'll keep talking. If I could talk and motivate some people, some of whom are my colleagues, so be it. But they got to move, and they got to move now. There's no more time. Like I say, the storm is there. The horizon is black. And we got to move now.
No question about it. Well, I'm looking at the clock. We've got to move for real because my time has come and gone. And John Boswick, I always appreciate when you come because I give you the mic to talk because I think that you've got a sobering approach to a lot of things. And I think that the forces are with you. I do think so. And I do sense a sense of urgency and I sense a sense of despair as well among our nation's people. Because I think that when they don't see anybody talking the kind of talk that we need to hear and we need to follow and get behind, they become despondent to the point where they just drop off the line and the work becomes harder.
Steve, you hear this? The ship of state is rudderless on the rock, listening, taking on water, black clouds on the horizon and black sails pulling up next door to plunder.
Yeah.
And the captain and his mates are singing Bob Marley tunes while dancing.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you tell him fit as a fiddle, the image of Nero fiddling as Rome Byrne came to my mind.
Yeah.
You know? No, man. Yes, people SOS blaring, ship going down, and you shuffling and you dancing and you singing. No. Yes, that's why there's a sense of desperation. But my say says, don't be desperate. You know that there are those of us out there with the answers. You know it. Steve and others have been presenting them to you one by one for over 2 years. I listen. Steve had 2 or 3 on between this week and last week. You know they're there.
course.
You know that they are there.
I'm the
Call for
scout.
them.
I'm the scout. I'm scouting them out.
Call for them. And I'm talking to the people listening. Call for them.
Yep.
Call for them. Demand what you want as your leadership. They will have to give it to you.
No question. We've got a big show on Friday with one I'm not going to say yet, but we're working on a number of things because this is time of the urgency is now. That's what is happening here. Let me just read a couple of text messages. I'm going to post the rest of these on Facebook so you can go to the hard copy page. This person says, "Hi, Steve. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. God don't protect stupid. We are no better than other countries who elect mediocrity and expect excellent results. You get the government you deserve." This one here says to me that, "Big bro, I'm hearing that the PLP is going to put Cassius Stewart to run on their ticket in Bamboo Town. Did you hear that?" I didn't hear it, is what this person's asking me. This one here says this to me: "When Brave is defeated, he will be a backbencher just like Mrs. Turner, which will signal the end of the PLP." Another one says, "To the hard copy nation, the prophet has spoken. I am not prepared to second guess God's message, and so I say no more." This person says, "Hi, Steve. I was hurt too when I saw foreigners fixing the roads." And speaking of the fixing of the roads in the Bahamas, this one says, "Here's something to think about. Paul Moss, Renard Rigby, Greg Moss, Andre Rollins, Brandon McCartney, Brentwood Wells, Cassius Stewart, Wayne Monroe, Michael Pintard, John Bostwick, Shelley Moss, Michael Alquitas, Heather Hunt, and other young men and women together in a conclave form a party and take this country in the direction it needs to go." It says, "We have the young persons with all of the ideas, but they're not together on the same team." And I suppose that person too is looking at this idea of convergence, of coming together. Greg speaks it, Bostwick speaks it, all of them are speaking it. Maybe they now need to get out and begin that process, and that may be the first leg in turning the country around. What do you think? That may be the first leg. John Bostwick, I give you the mic for the final comments.
Steve, again, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful to sit with you. And I know you can feel a lot of what's been going on over the past 2 years coming to head.
Mm-hmm.
Next time I come, I'm going to bring you a special clip too, that I promised you. And all I can say, Steve, by the way, a lot of people are buzzing me, telling me that they felt the same thing you feel. Steve, you are almost the sounding board of the nationalist.
I'm the conscience of the nation.
You really are. And a lot of people, and some serious people are writing me saying, "I felt the same way when I saw this foreigner fixing the road."
I still feel bad about it.
They feel really bad about it, Steve. But to say that hope, this sale of hope, they almost make me don't like saying things like hope and help is on the way. But what I want to tell Bahamians, stay faithful. Stay faithful. God is still in control. God is still in control. Stay faithful. You know, and you can see that there are those out there who have the answers. They went and flew in the face of the Bahamian people with this referendum, but they wouldn't finish the job. They wouldn't license these people. There may be one or two of them who could be licensed. They wouldn't allow. Flowers is begging them to be put in a position to lend his money to the average person at low to no interest. Man, you already gone this far. Finish it. So what is it now? The problem is that he wants to lend his millions to the average folk. That's a problem.
Interesting.
Okay. So I can't fathom. There's so many things, Steve, and there's so much we have to talk about over time. Okay. But all I can say to Bahamians, keep your heads up. Keep your heads up. Believe in the words of our national anthem. Believe in the things that in our national slogan: forward, upward, onward, together. Together.
Absolutely.
Together. Unity is strength.
That's key.
Unity is strength. You know, call for what you want. What you want is on offer.
I would be remiss, John, if I don't end the show tonight by saying that I call for the nation to pray, truly pray. We seem to be on our own with a lot of things. A lot of persons who are the keepers of the gate of morality and the good things in life that our Lord and Savior gave us to make sure that we could pursue. They seem quiet. They may be praying, but they seem very quiet on the national scene. I want to ask people tonight to remember my brother John in your prayers, and Paul and everybody else who are at the forefront of a very, very important time in the development of the country. Everyone you see who are making their steps in different directions, they all need the prayers. The nation needs prayers. But I particularly want you to pray for John Boss, because I can sense, and I've been saying this, and some people don't like me for saying it, but I can sense that those giants in the land are trying to kill, not murder, kill the dreams and aspirations and ambitions of those who have been sent for this time to lead. I sense it. They're trying to kill it. If you've been noticing, a lot of our people who we bring and talk to, and I teasingly sometimes say, you sit in that seat, don't get your picture taken. I notice, and I've been saying this to you, I want you to hear me, that I believe that there's an attitude pervasive in this country called the Bahamas, where we kill our young before they can really bear fruit. And I don't mean that just from a figuratively speaking approach of killing our young, metaphorically. We are not allowing them to bloom as to what they're supposed to be. I mean, how do you downplay a man like a John Bostwick or a Greg Moss or a Paul Moss or a Renwood or Rollins and so many others of them? How do you downplay that and don't let the country prosper from what they have learned and what they bring to the table? We seem to be taking our people out. I think of my brother Darren Cash. I think of these people. Bright minds. Yet we seem to try to snuff them out. They must not succeed. They must not come against the establishment. And all kinds of things happen when they speak. I want you to pray for them, because if that's the course that we're taking with our young people, then God help your grandchildren and your children. They will not be anything. Not in this land. If we allow our bright minds across the archipelago, in Grand Bahama, in Bimini, in the Berry Islands, and in Agua, these are people who are doing things in the community. Some you don't even know. If we allow society to snuff them out because the establishment has decided that we ain't want nothing to do with John, we can keep him down. We ain't want nothing to do with Paul Moss, we can keep him down. You know how many young people have come along to help to build this country? And we don't know them because they have been snuffed out. We have to change that. How will the country prosper? Who will carry it to the next level? Certainly not men who are in their 70s. They're going the other way. If we kill off the young, who will carry the country? Think of it. Pray for the nation, because we are in a serious time. And I don't think that a lot of people see, John and I can tell you all kinds of things, but from a point of national security and a point of decency and a point of patience, we must stop where we stop every time when we stop where we stop. But you pick up. This is a sobering time, friends. Speak to your children. Young people, read the newspapers, please. Know what's going on in your country. Pick up the newspapers, read them. Listen to the talk shows. If you can't participate, sit back, learn, and then when you get your confidence, call. Write your letters to the Tribune and the Guardian, the editors of these papers. Express yourself. The country needs expression. We are 40 years later. It's a different time, a different dispensation, a different generation. When are you going to say? When are you going to shine? The country needs you. It really does. And unfortunately, because we're devoid of the leadership at the level that it's supposed to be, when those leaders, those lawmakers, those policymakers ought to be in your face on television telling you about what the future looks like for you and your children. So for that, make you believe, we don't have it. They are absent, negligent, unable to, incapable of. That's not me. This is my observation. Don't blame me. This is what I observe. Haven't you observed the same? And the most egregious thing, in a 21st century Bahamas, when my pa and his grandpa could build road and patch road, I hear a voice on my TV in my country. Don't talk like me, telling me that they're going to patch the roads. In my ministry of works, I don't care who bring them here and how they're on any contract. I want the government of the Bahamas and the people of the Bahamas to know it's egregious. It is unacceptable. It is foolish. And it is unforgettable. Take that from me tonight. God bless the nation. Let's go, Mervyn. Hard Copy is a presentation of Cybertech, Total Auto Care, Bank in the Bahamas, BTC, Super